Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. My morning Monday Moment. And our Monday Moment was released on YouTube this weekend. Nardwuar versus SGA. Yeah, SGA, the MVP of the NBA, the champion, just kind of on the top of the NBA world. And Nardwuar interviewing people for decades. So long. Nardwuar usually interviews musicians, musical artists, and it's not so often that he interviews athletes, but he has interviewed athletes and skateboarders and fighters and different people in the past. But I hadn't really seen him interview many NBA players. And I think that he should, because the NBA players are very interesting people, and fans would love to see him. I bet his clip for SGA is going to go crazy with the views, and he should be encouraged to do this more. Like, I would love to see a Nardwuar versus RJ Barrett. That would be amazing. Nardwuar versus RJ Barrett. That would be fantastic. It was exactly what I thought it would be. I knew that they did this a couple weeks ago and it was going to be coming out, and I did impressions of what it would be, and my impression was spot on. It was basically like you practice down at YMCA every Tuesday and how'd you know that? How'd you know that, Nardwuar? Because you are SGA, and we have to know this. It's so good. It's so good. But in the middle of the interview, SGA started playing the game with him. I guess it's just a natural competitiveness for Shea, is that he's like, nah, Nardwuar's getting me with his thing, man. And it's like, Nardwuar at one point asked SGA, he said, well, SGA, how did you find out about Nardwuar? Nardwuar, and then SGA says, Nardwuar, it's your Nardwuar. We have to know who Nardwuar is. He turned the tables on him. And it was awesome. I haven't seen anybody do that to Nardwuar. You guys got to understand this. I've watched a lot of Nardwuar interviews over the years. And I have I don't remember an interviewee ever turning the tables on Nardwuar and doing his thing to him. That's how good Shea is. He's like, he was able to do the Nardwuar thing to Nardwuar. So good. This interview was very informative. You know what? The thing about it is, I don't understand where the hell Nardwuar gets the stuff he gives people. Like, it's crazy. He starts right off the bat in this interview giving SGA a Kobe Bryant record. Not just a Kobe Bryant record, but a record that Kobe Bryant recorded and never released, never put out. And of course, as just like SGA's reacting to it, we're all reacting to it like, what the hell? There's a Kobe Bryant record? Shaq, sure, we knew about that. I knew about the Iverson one he gave him later too. But I didn't know about this Kobe Bryant record that Tyra Banks was involved with. And yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, SGA was blown away by getting a Kobe Bryant record, then getting an Allen Iverson record. And then he got a Tim Horton record. It's like, what the hell are you doing, Nardwuar? Where do you get this shit? He had a record that Tim Horton, the old Toronto Maple Leaf that played hockey and the namesake of the chain, of course, recorded himself. Tim Horton made a record. It's so crazy. It's so weird. I wonder what it sounds like. It's probably some crazy shit. And then and then of course he had Master P. He gave him Master P record and talked about the Raptors with SGA, which is very interesting. I'll talk about that in a second. But then he also had an Olajuwon record. Like, where the hell do you get this shit? Nardwuar, you have an Akeem Olajuwon record where Akeem made music? Like, I had no idea Olajuwon ever recorded anything like that. So that was cool, man, seeing that stuff. And then, of course, Nardwuar gave him a pair of his shoes. Like, he has puffball shoes that are in plaid, and like they're his style, and they're Nardwuar shoes. They say "doot de loot do" on the bottom. And SGA being who he is, and his shoe and all this stuff going on, he was probably really touched by getting Nardwuar's signature shoe given to him. You could tell SGA was mad that he wasn't prepared by bringing his own butter shoes to him. And he's sending the butter shoes to Nardwuar immediately after this interview. He's coming around, bringing those shoes. He's like calling his people, listen, you need to send Nardwuar 3 pairs of my shoes. You're going to send him a 9, a 9.5, and a 10. And we're going to see which one fits him best. This is like, you send him butter shoes. You know, Nardwuar got butter shoes from SGA shortly after this interview. You know for sure that happened. Of course, Nardwuar knew a lot about SGA's life. He knew where he liked to practice, when he liked to practice. He knew all his coaches' names. He knew stuff about his mother and his father. And it was really cool. It was touching for SGA to see the clippings of the newspaper of his mother and her being in the Toronto Star in the early 80s. Very, very cool. Very, very, very cool. And of course, Nardwuar is the Canadian treasure. We love Nardwuar so much. He's an icon. I mean it when I say those two icons met, because SGA is an icon and Nardwuar is too. Nardwuar is for what he does too. He's just a legend. And he was legendary in how he snuck in what we wanted him to do, Raptors Nation. That's right. Nardwuar, he may not overtly be a Raptors fan, but I can tell he is. He's proud of Canada's NBA team. You know, he may have been a Grizzlies fan originally when they both came in, because that's where he's from, is the West Coast and BC. But his respect and love for the Raptors is there too, I can tell. And he was probably very happy when the Raptors won a championship. So how does Nardwuar spring? A question that we all want to know from Gilgeous-Alexander. He does it with a Rice Krispies box. Yeah, Nardwuar went deep on this one. He pulled out a mint condition Rice Krispies box from 1994. This is a period of time when the Raptors had no players, guys. That box came out before Damon Stoudemire. That box was on the shelves before we had players. It's kind of like the period we're in right now with the Tempo, is when that box came out. They didn't have any players at that time. I kind of remember when that Rice Krispies box came out and they started showing more branding of the Raptors with all kinds of different stuff just to start announcing they were coming. But yeah, SGA's like, the food's still in here. I'm not going to eat this. Don't worry. But he's like, this is cool. And he did like it. And then Nardwuar got him to elaborate on what the Raptors mean to him. That's very interesting. In some ways, I hadn't really heard SGA so openly talk about the Raptors franchise until this Nardwuar interview. I'm sure he has in other places, and we probably could hear it. But he really expressed how he feels the Raptors are such an important part of what's made basketball popular in Canada. That you know, he talked about going to games as a kid and how much it meant to him and the culture and Raptors games and stuff like that. And I was like, man, you read between the lines, Raptors fans. This man would be overjoyed to put on the Raptors red and take the court at Scotiabank Arena for our team, guys. He would be. And, you know, Nardwuar, you're walking that tightrope with SGA where you get him in trouble. You talk too much about the Raptors with him, and he has to espouse on what the Raptors mean to him. Whoa, Thunder fans are watching. People from Oklahoma City are watching. And they're, you know, you're going to get me in trouble, Nardwuar, if you make me express too much love for the Toronto Raptors franchise. But I read between the lines. I do what I do on this channel when I watch the interviews after the games. I watch people talk, and I really pay attention to tells. Man, SGA would play for the Raptors like that if he got the opportunity. I'm telling you right now, he would. He would love to come back and play in our arena for his hometown team. He would love it. That's what I read from between the lines on that one. Now, it remains to be seen if the Oklahoma City Thunder don't continue to wrap him up every single time his contract comes up with the highest level of money that he can pay, and that he doesn't go anywhere. But we don't know. I'm just saying, if something happened later in his career where he was going to leave Oklahoma City, Toronto's on the short list. So I appreciate a Canadian legend icon, Nardwuar, the human serviette, for doing service for Raptors Nation in this interview, for going somewhere that's not the easiest place to go with NBA players to get them to be honest and prying it out. The Rice Krispies box. That's expert stuff. You were a legend for this, Nardwuar. I appreciate you for putting SGA in that spot for a second. To hear how he espoused on the Raptors was very heartwarming. And it made me realize what I just said, that this dude would play for us in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, he would come back and play for us. But yeah, SGA, you came off as the most mature professional, caring, interesting, fun, intelligent person. I mean, Adam Silver would be an idiot if he didn't make you the face of the NBA. Because honestly, you're so well spoken. You're an incredible role model. You just have grace and dignity to you in the way you carry yourself. And it's a testament to you that you're such a competitive person, but you're still humble and able to be who you are, because you're amazing, bro. Honestly, I think that you are what this league needs. A guy like that is a great role model. And Adam Silver, you'd be an idiot if you didn't embrace Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the face of the NBA going forward, because he's not going to screw you over like Ja Morant. He's not going to make you look bad down the road like Zion Williamson. He's going to make you look real good. Trust me, because he operates on a certain level of consistency with who he is that will allow you to trust him as one of the best spokespeople for the league. You know, Michael Jordan had other duties other than just doing Hanes commercials and dropping 50 on the Knicks. You know, he had to be the face of the league. And there was a lot to that in his persona, his reputation, who he was. And I'm going to say this right now, Michael Jordan's not a better face of the league than SGA, because he's flawed with some serious behind the scenes issues that, you know, they came out to light in different times. It's really the gambling and maybe the abusive behavior towards his teammates at times. But for the most part, you know, Jordan was not this affable. Jordan was not this friendly. Jordan was not so, like, let's put it this way. Jordan's smooth, Jordan's smart, Jordan's very, very good guy, but he's very much got a guard up most of his life. Like, Michael Jordan wouldn't let you in like SGA let Nardwuar in. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't let his guard down like that. He'd be very, like, professional and Jordan, like, do you understand what I'm saying? So I think that, man, Shai, you're just a shining, bright example of a very successful person in their field carrying themselves in the correct way. And I appreciate you for that. In fact, you don't just represent the NBA well, you represent Canada very, very well. And this interview is fantastic. If you guys have not watched this Nardwuar versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander interview that dropped on Saturday yet, you need to. You need to watch it and just revel in the greatness of both the individuals in the interview, because it's not like these guys are equals in their fields. Let's just put it that way. Nardwuar is the SGA of interviewing people. He really is that guy. He's like that. Let's just put it that way. All right, y'all, let's see what y'all are talking about in the chat, and we'll do all the regular comments and all the regular stuff we do on the Raptor Freak morning show. We'll see what's going on here with you guys. Let's see. Trevor J is, of course, here first. The commissioner of fun, Trevor J, has his words of wisdom for me first thing on the chat. And he's saying, selfish people are team killers. Culture is whatever you celebrate. Great leaders make others around them better. Yeah. Yeah, SGA talking about how he has yearly garage sales. And he invites his teammates over. And he sells them his old clothes for cheap. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense with that goofy commercial with him and Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren wearing the same outfit or something like that. That was SGA. You caused this. You sold them all the outfits at the beginning of the year at your garage sale. He said he doesn't give them the clothes, but he gives them to them real cheap. It's so weird, man. But no, this is serious. Like, with this words of wisdom, you know, you got to look at your team leaders on your team, because they can make you or break you. And if your team leaders are selfish jerks that are not conducive to the whole group, you're not going to be as good. That's why you want leaders on your team like Scotty Barnes and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because they're good leaders. They're selfless, and they're also willing to do what it takes themselves to try and help beat the other team. And they're not above doing dirty work or things that's hard work. That's not the most glory kind of stuff. These guys will get down and dirty, but they'll also do the big stuff too. So yeah, it's important. You can have team killers on your team. That's for sure. You can have team killers on your team. Trevor J's also bringing up the results from the WNBA semifinals, first games of the second round. And yeah, an upset yesterday. Honestly, the Fever beat the Aces. They did a good job, as you guys said in the chat, handling Aja Wilson, the 4-time MVP, and kind of holding her back. And Kelsey Mitchell and them took care of business and took game one of a series of 5 against the Las Vegas Aces yesterday. Go on then, Indiana. Go on then. Maybe Cool Cat is right about what you guys are doing there in Indiana with the Fever. Yeah. The other game, Minnesota did beat Phoenix in the game 1 in that game also. So yeah, good WNBA playoff action once again. Get into it, watch it, and well, next year hopefully, our Tempo will be playing in the league, and hopefully maybe they'll be in the playoffs come around this time next year. Maybe, probably not, but maybe we'll have to see. Trevor Jays also brought up that the Toronto Blue Jays have officially clinched the postseason. This means that they can do no worse than possibly the wild card. And this is fantastic because we want postseason games for the Blue Jays. There's been a little bit of a dry spell in recent years since the days of Donaldson and those guys on our team. And now, well, we need some postseason success. So let's go. You guys have been sliding a little bit recently. And, well, you guys need to finish strong these last few games and get some good momentum going into your postseason. Because this is the time, listen, this is not the time for your bats to go silent. You need to get going and get it going again, Bo Bichette and the rest of them. So, yeah, let's go Blue Jays. Let's play deep into October. That's what we want. That's right. Trevor Jay's bringing up that the Charlotte Hornets want LaMelo Ball to be a better leader. Yeah, I would say, I don't know if LaMelo's got SGA kind of leadership. In some ways he might think in his head he does. He may be arrogant enough to actually think he does, but he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I mean, I could tell you right now that's part of the reason why the Charlotte Hornets are goofy is because LaMelo Ball is their franchise player, and in some ways he's not a serious NBA player, if you ask me. In some ways he's almost half a Harlem Globetrotter, to be honest. Look, I get it. You can do fancy dribbles. You can do this. You can do that. That stuff don't matter in my world in basketball. I just want fundamentals. I don't want flashy shit that's extraneous that can actually hurt the team more than it actually helps. Because that's what you do. You analyze things in basketball, risk reward. Should I go for the steal or will I get called for a foul? Should I take this shot or is this bad shot selection? You have to have good decision making. And, flashy players that do extra dribbles and do all this extra shit, it pisses me off. Because in some ways, you're putting your team at risk for your failure to happen. And the team is depending on you. But you feel like doing something goofy just because it looks cool to you and maybe to some little kids that like it. Nah, see, that's not basketball to me. That's selfish shit. And maybe that's the way you should be a better leader. How about that? Maybe that's a way right there. Trevor Jay's also saying that Pat Riley says he would not trade Andrew Wiggins to the Lakers because he doesn't want to help LeBron. Well, that sounds like the signs of the Lakers shipping LeBron back to Miami aren't very good then. If Pat Riley doesn't want to help LeBron, what's going on there? Why are you mad at LeBron, Pat? Because honestly, he kind of helped your second career in Miami after LA and New York. And, you don't get a couple of those rings you got on your hand without LeBron James, Pat Riley. So it's like, why you don't want to help LeBron? I don't know. You might want to trade Andrew Wiggins to the Lakers because that might not help LeBron. That actually might hurt him. If that's what you're worried about, maybe you should trade him because honestly, it may make things more confusing in LA. If Andrew Wiggins showed up all of a sudden, there'd be some sort of controversy. Maybe is it him or Reeves? Is it him or Roy? That kind of shit could happen. So Pat Riley, rethink this, man. You think that would help the Lakers? I don't know. I mean, I'm harsh on Andrew. I shouldn't be so harsh on him. Maple Jordan is actually a great player, but to me, his prime is past. And in some ways, it's like, what has he done in the last couple of years? He's had a really good stretch for the Warriors a couple of years ago around their championship, their last one. And other than that, I mean, Andrew has been kind of ineffective. He was ineffective in Miami once he got there after the trade with Jimmy Butler. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't even understand what's going on there. It seems like Andrew Wiggins is not a part of Miami's plans. But then again, Pat Riley ain't going to trade him. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on here. Daniel Barry's here. Good to see Daniel Barry, Sports Highlights. Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy first day of fall. And good morning to you, Daniel. Thanks for making the live this morning. Great to see you, man. Hope you've been just well and happy and just having a great weekend this weekend, man. Just very wishing you well. James is here. Rapid Freak James, good morning. SGA and Scotty Barnes, the best duo in the NBA if it ever happens. That's an interesting pairing. I mean, they play really well together. I know they would. They'd be fun. They'd be a lot of fun. I know Scotty himself would be like, you damn right I want to play with SGA. That dude is good. I know Scotty would be all about playing with Gilgeous-Alexander. If that kind of arrangement could ever come to fruition, he would not be upset about that. That's right. Neil's here. Good morning, Neil. Posting up the Vince Carter Raptor logo. That's right. Neil is a supporter of this channel. That's why his name is in green, and that's why he has a little Raptor logo next to his name. And he can post the icons, the emoticons on the chat. You get access to that if you support the channel with it's like every YouTube channel. You pay like a monthly thing to help support me doing the show. And you get little extras, a couple little extras there. So he's got that Raptors logo out there. Neil, I wish you all the best on this Monday morning. And I hope you're doing very, very well. It's a rainy day so far. That's right. Cool Cat is here. Good morning, Raptor crew. Cool Cat on point with her fever assessments of the Indiana Fever. She loves her Indiana teams right now with Siakam, number one fan, being Indiana-centric now. And Fever is a team she's taking a special interest in. And, well, she's assessing this. Once again, she's right. I have to say this again. She's right about both the Pacers and the Fever this year. Told me something earlier than I believed it. And, well, she's right. I just got to say it. Cool Cat's right. Cool Cat's right about the Fever. She's right about the Pacers going to the finals, too. So good job, Coach. Coach knows what she's talking about. That's what I'm saying. I'm a believer more often when she started bringing stuff to me. It was like, all right, wait. Oh, this is what I think, but Cool Cat's correcting me on it. Okay, maybe I need to reassess because she has a good track record. That's what's coming up right now. That's what I'm finding out. Daniel Barry's saying, finally made it. Good. I'm glad you made it. Hey, James and Trevor. Yeah, Daniel, good to see you, man. Participate in the chat as much as you can, my guy. Bring some questions in or just some comments you have about anything going on. That's right. G's saying that he thinks that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be a Raptor one day. That'd be awesome, man. That'd be so awesome. Toronto means a lot to him. He admitted on the interview with Nardwuar that his parents met in Toronto. Cookout, an ethnic cookout, as he called it. He said there's a lot of, island people that get together and have big parties and cookouts in Toronto. And that's where they met. That's where Vaughn and his mom met. And, without Toronto, there's no SGA. So in some ways, you just don't even exist if Toronto, the city, doesn't exist. So I don't know. That seems like a logical thing for him to maybe come back and play here. But then again, he's such a powerful player. Would Adam Silver and the NBA ever allow this to happen? Because they may not want him to be on Toronto, because it may mean that Toronto's really good, like they were with Kawhi. So I don't know. I would love to see him in the Raptor jersey one day. In some ways, even if it's like near the end of his career and it's not really his height, it might be still fun to see him come here and just get to live that dream, even if it's not in his prime. But either way, man, I love it. I love also them talking about, SGA got the key to the city in Hamilton recently. And they were talking about that he gets a right to name one of the streets after himself, which is absolutely amazing. You can pick one street in the city of Hamilton and rename it Shai Gilgeous-Alexander Way. And he's picked the one already. It's going to be Mohawk. And that's partly the reason why is because a lot of his life was centric around that road and going to practice, going to church, going to school, just all kinds of stuff. And that's apropos. He said that in some ways that's the street in Hamilton that I became who I am. And it just makes sense. So that's kind of cool, eh? That's pretty cool right there. That's right. Seymour's here. Good morning, Seymour Pape. It's holding it down for us in the province of Alberta. I hope Seymour's doing good. The city slicker out west. I just hope it ain't late in his career like Hakeem. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Even if that happens, It'll be nice. But yeah, it may be like that. In some ways, it is what it is if it's like that. But let's hope and we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to get crazy like some Raptors station. They get so crazy about SGA to the Raptors. They're doing the Photoshop of putting the jersey on him. They're constantly talking about it on Raptors Reddit. They're all the time bringing it up. Man, we just need to get SGA, SGA, SGA. It's like, man, this is just not realistic. You got to understand how much Sam Presti loves SGA. And you got to understand how much Oklahoma City is going to do everything in their power to keep him their jersey for the rest of his career. That they don't want him to play for another team. The Clippers screwed up and let him get there. And well, they're not gonna be too quick to let him go. They'll probably pay him all the way through, and they'll cut other guys that they may have to make tough decisions with down the road. People like Chet, people like Jalen Williams, Lou Dort. These guys will probably be leaving the Thunder way before SGA because it's just like that. You get a player like that, you don't let him go, Steve Ballmer, you idiot. You don't let him go, Steve Ballmer. Your aspiration was stupid. And, well, Kawhi Leonard for SGA, wow, how's that look now? Seriously, how's that look now? Seriously, it wasn't even Kawhi Leonard for SGA. It was so bad, man. So bad. Yeah, Fiercey's here. Good morning, Fiercey Salsera. Good morning, fam, and happy Monday. Good morning to you, MJ. Hope you had a good weekend and everything was fantastic. I love it. Yeah, let's see what else. Cool Cat saying, every Canadian baller is a Raptors fan. It's not hard to conceive. We are the only NBA team in Canada. If we don't draft them, it would be hard to get Canadian players on the Raptors. I don't know. It depends on their level. Like if they're really high level, like SGA, it's more difficult for sure. But I'm going to say this right now. When RJ came in the league, I wanted him to be a Raptor right away. When he got drafted by the Knicks, I was sad because I was like, man, that dude needs to be a Raptor. And at that time, I was like, man, I wonder if RJ will ever be on the Raptors. And I didn't think it could be possible, seriously. So never say never. We never know what could happen. Because when RJ Barrett got drafted by the Knicks, I thought maybe he'd never ever become a Raptor. And well, he has. And that's that level of player. RJ is not getting any shine. He's getting omitted and not looked at anything. But he's going to make them pay attention to him. Watch. But that level of player of Canadian level talent, I didn't think was something the Raptors could get to. But then again, we traded OG, which is a big talent, for two really good talents that are young and Quickly and Barrett. And, the dream of RJ playing for Toronto happened. So anything's possible, guys. There could be weird things that happen somehow, some way. If anybody could pry SGA out of Oklahoma City, Bobby Webster, I bet you could. I bet you Bobby Webster could figure out a way to do it if he was given the chance. So who knows? Who knows? I seriously thought RJ would not get an opportunity to come to Toronto. Well, he did. And he's on our team right now, which shows it right there. Cool Cat saying Magic Johnson's definition face of the league. Are people coming to see your games, both home and away? Money talks, stats, personality, character. If SGA moves the American sales market, then that's huge. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking in the comments of the Nardwuar interview, and there's people that are like not Canadian and they're not Oklahoma City fans, and they're watching this interview and like, how could somebody not like this guy? This guy is just cool. How could you not like SGA? Like, he's just a cool dude. He's down to earth, and he's very humble for being so good. He's very, very humble. And yeah, it was hilarious. I mean, Nardwuar's so funny, man. He's so funny. And he did totally freak out SGA with knowing stuff about him, like he always does. But yeah, really, really good interview. Nardwuar is a saint. I love Nardwuar so much. But yeah, Magic Johnson was a very good face of the league. He was a little bit different than Michael. In some ways, they kind of shared the duties. Michael was the best player, but Magic was probably the statesman. Magic was the one who is more likely to do interviews and really be like the PR guy for the NBA, because he was such a magnetic smile. He had a character carry around him like a Masai Ujiri. There's an aura around him. And I met Magic once. I met Irvin Johnson a long, long time ago, and he's just got a real aura around him in person. So he that there's different levels of being face of the league. You could be like the face of the league in the advertising and leading and playing, and you don't have to talk a lot. But if you're able to espouse and be a face of the league in, that kind of way too, like Magic was in the past. Maybe SGA could be now. LeBron, the levels of him engaging in the kind of face of the league stuff that Magic did, it's not that high, honestly. He stays away from a lot of stuff, but he has obviously been the face of the league, LeBron James. And, in some ways, these people all kind of carry that mantle differently. And a lot of it has to do with their personality. So, yeah, money talks. And that's why, NBA was stupid at ever trying to anoint the next future faces of the league. This is not something you can choose, Adam Silver. You can't sit in a boardroom with a bunch of executives in the NBA head office and say, who are we going to make the next face of the league? You can't do it that way. This is just like in wrestling. These wrestlers come to the ring and they're either loved or rejected by the fans. And if they come out and they're the dud, and it's like, yeah, this is the stupidest gimmick I've ever seen. You're a plumber. You're a plumber. Yeah. Oh, you work at a dumpster. Okay. Yeah, this is a horrible wrestling idea. Now, boo, we don't want to see it. That's the thing. The fans decide stuff in wrestling. And, well, the fans decide stuff in the NBA too. And if the fans are gravitating towards one player because they're the most popular or they're the best player in the league, well, you should let it naturally happen the way it's supposed to, instead of trying to designate what you think should be the face of the league. I know you probably wish that Jason Tatum would just be the face of the league. I'll bet you wish that would just take. But too many people hate the Celtics for Jason Tatum to just be the face of the league. So I don't know. Who's it going to be then? And Jaylen Brown makes it hard for Jason Tatum to be that. It's not. You guys are very reluctant to make the face of the league an international player. It's obvious. In some ways, Giannis is a natural face of the league or natural player to be the new leader of the NBA. But in some ways, you've rejected. You don't really do it with him like that. Is it because he's Greek? Nikola is not a good person for you guys to make the face of the league because he doesn't want it. And in some ways, you don't want to advertise him as a Serbian man in the United States. So it's like, there's a very American-centric kind of idea about it. They should be American. So you want to do Anthony Edwards. Well, Anthony Edwards has some issues with being the face of the league because in some ways he's not the best role model. No, he's not. So it's interesting. James is saying Shaedon Sharpe is another Canadian no one talks about. I think he has all-star potential and probably the best in-game dunker in the league. He's definitely got some of the best hops in the league right now. And, in some ways that's great. But once again, James, I don't necessarily value that as an important basketball skill. It's very much kind of with LaMelo and it's great to have leaping ability, but in some ways the fundamentals, can he make shots? Can he do stuff? That's the stuff that'll matter more if he's going to stay in the league. But he's very intriguing as a prospect coming up in the Canadian ranks and what he could possibly do to help Team Canada be more successful on the FIBA level. Unfortunately, Sharpe is in Portland, and that is not the safest place to be in the NBA if you're trying to make the league and carve out as a role player in the league what you're going to be. Because that's the biggest obstacle for Sharpe, is just like with Banton and other people before, like Brissett. You got to make yourself distinguished in a role that'll stick you around like Boucher. And then you'll get to stick around Canadian. But yeah, Shaedon Sharpe, in some ways, he shouldn't be relying on his extremely good leaping ability. He should be making himself skilled in fundamental stuff so that he's very useful no matter what, and he sticks around in the league. Because, man, I've seen so many talented jumpers and leapers flame right on out of the league, and it doesn't matter how high you can jump. It's whether you can play fundamentally right. But I like Sharpe. I think he's going to be successful, and he's going to figure out what I'm just talking about right now. And I like that he showed up for Team Canada stuff this summer. And, well, stay healthy and be there for the main team the next cycle around, Shaedon. That'd be awesome. Yeah, G saying Fever players love each other and play for each other. They also have diverse defenders and players that know their roles. Lexi and Bree are X factors that you don't hear about. They are disruptive. There you go. That's what people were saying yesterday in our chat, going on and on about Indiana Fever's defensive plan to stop the Aces just being so well planned out and just the personnel doing it the right way. That's what I'm saying, man. Once again, basketball is a team sport. You can have superstars like Jewel Lloyd and Aja Wilson, but if a team is playing like a team in syncopation and they're doing everything the right way and they're playing for each other, you get the finals like the Thunder and the Pacers. You get the best creme de la creme, hardest working teams that are teams that play like a team. In basketball, that's always been the winning formula. And that's why the Raptors are going to be very successful this year. So, the team that plays like a team is going to win. And the Fever played like a team. And they beat a more talented team, if you ask me, yesterday. Yeah. Eye candy. What's up? Live long and prosper. That's right. Is that what that is? That is the Star Trek thing. Is what's weird? I did the Star Trek theme on the show like in the last 2 weeks. And it just happened to be Star Trek Day that day. This is kind of like the classic card, eerie, weird coincidence stuff that's happening. Like Clyde Drexler the other day. I'm on the stream, and for some reason I felt like singing the Star Trek opening theme song. I think we were talking about going where no one has gone before, and I just started singing it. And then later on, I got on social media, and it told me that it was actually officially Star Trek Day. I'm like, what a weird coincidence. Why the hell was I singing Star Trek's theme song on this day? It was Star Trek Day. Very weird. Very, very weird. I don't know. Either way, it's weird. Live long and prosper. Seymour Pay. That's right. The Heat would get connect, not LBJ for Wiggins, Lex. Well, no, what I'm saying is the Lakers. All right. The Lakers really want to trade LeBron right now. They don't want to keep him around anymore. They want to start the Luka era. And LeBron's a headache right now. It's a really weird situation because LeBron, in some ways, he wants to retire and get a victory tour. And in some ways, he should declare it this year and just say, this is my last year, guys. I'm going around the league. Say goodbye to me right now. This is my last year. He needs to do this. If he's not going to do it this year, the Lakers are going to be kind of like, whoa, bro, you're like the relative that needs to go home. You've been here too long and stuff like that. It's that kind of thing. Like you came over, you said you're going to be here for 2 days, and now you've been here for 5 months. Like, no, you got to go. That's kind of how they're acting with them. And it's a little disrespectful. They're very anxious to go into the Luka era. And they're trying to move LeBron in some ways, but they got him on a $50 million a year contract or something like that. Something crazy like that. So there's not a lot of movement they can do. The guys are speculating, well, where the hell would LeBron go from there? Cleveland and Miami were two of the top teams that were possible. Golden State was another one we talked about. So I was saying, yeah, he would go back to Miami and play for the Heat, but maybe not. If Pat Riley's like, I don't want to help LeBron. I don't have nothing to do with him. So, yeah, that's why I was saying that is because the Lakers are trying to move LeBron. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Seymour saying Wiggins, LBJ, and Luka would be a playoff problem. No, it wouldn't. Nothing about that team is going to work out this year. They got DeAndre Ayton at center. They got two guys named LeBron and Luka that are great players, fantastic players, but they don't play defense. And, this team is not built to win. The Lakers have never been built to win in some ways. They got a Mickey Mouse championship in Disney bubble, but for the most part, they have not been built to win the whole time they've been with LeBron. They were better off with Davis next to him. That was their best kind of player to be next to him, but he's gone now for Luka. And Luka with LeBron is a horrible combination. And that's part of the reason why the Lakers are so quick to want to move on from LeBron James, because they're overlapping skills. They're kind of too similar. And in some ways, they're not necessary together. As much as it's fun and it's marketing wise, and they've gotten time to play next to each other, it's not a winning formula. I'm going to say this right now. It's not a winning formula. G saying Aces are like the Nuggets. Interesting. Good win with Aja and Joker. Not great without them. Okay. Interesting. That's good information. Original Raptor Freak champion of trivia. G. Seymour saying Wiggins should have been finals MVP, but they had to give it to Steph because they messed up all the ones before, especially the Iguodala finals MVP. It should have been Steph's first. Yeah, I won't disagree with any of that. I'll agree with that. I think that the last championship that the Warriors got, Andrew Wiggins was very prominent and important to it. And I could get behind all your points here. I don't totally agree with the Iguodala MVP either. And you're right. And Kevin getting a couple of them there. Steph needed his due. I get it. But in some ways, it was a detriment to a Canadian guy named Wiggins. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Cool Cat saying Wiggins had a good chip run with the Warriors, and then he was hit with family health tragedies. At that point, your focus and emotions are impacted. Health, family, over basketball every time. Hopefully back. This is a good point, and I'll give him some sympathy for this, but let's not get it twisted. This guy's wasted his whole entire career for the most part. The whole time he was in Minnesota, he took so long to get better. He was not trying as hard as he could have. And in some ways, it's like, Andrew Wiggins, you could have been way better in your career if you'd just taken it more seriously in your early years in Minnesota. I really do truly believe that. So, yeah, it's sad about what happened to Mitchell Wiggins. Mitchell Wiggins, Florida State, NBA player himself. It's sad, and it was a huge distraction in the recent years. But don't give me this crap, because Andrew Wiggins, he kind of dropped the ball his whole entire career starting in Minnesota. He should have been way better earlier. And I've always thought he's never tried hard enough or worked hard enough. In some ways, I feel like he lacks DeRozan code, and that he could have been way more with his potential, with what he could have been if he had tried harder. And that started in Minnesota, and it was way before he came to Golden State. So let's see. Cool Cat saying is good. I'm a good WNBA fan. Hang on, it jumped ahead. I'm a good WNBA fan because I'm a college women's basketball fan. So I know the skills and on-court personalities of the WNBA players. Well, I may be leaning on you more next summer, Coach Cool Cat, for analysis on WNBA stuff, since you're much more learned on it. I'll make you a professor emeritus of WNBA knowledge of the college game and into the WNBA. I will definitely lean on you with your opinions and what you're seeing. In fact, we may have to make a new segment when the tempo come around with Coach Cool Cat and see what Coach Cool Cat's saying about the WNBA. Yeah, I'm all about that. There's a lot of potential for some fun on the stream in the year to come with the tempo coming in and what I start to develop, like the new stuff on the channel around it. So yeah, we are going to need your expertise. Definitely. Yeah. Cool Cat saying, I'm hoping that Toronto Tempo are able to get some good unprotected players from other teams along with rookies. Yeah, we got to be savvy. I hope that Monica Wright-Rogers is up for the task. She has experience around the league. She's a very celebrated player herself. And let's just hope that, we make some very smart decisions early, because as we learned with the Raptors, making the first initial steps early on can really set you up for success earlier in your franchise expansion. And the Grizzlies were a bad example, and the Raptors did really good right at the beginning. They really, really did. I think that John Batove and Isaiah Thomas should get way more credit about the whole entire Raptors. In some ways, it's like when MLSE, Steve Stavro, and everybody came in and kind of pushed them out. They wanted to kind of make Isaiah look like he was bad. I'm so mad at that. To this day, people look at Isaiah Thomas as being a bad person that ran the Raptors, and it pisses me off because that is not true. In some ways, we have to understand a lot of what happened with Isaiah and the ownership group was racist. And we have to also understand that Isaiah Thomas knew the NBA way better than any of those assholes, and he did not deserve to be treated some of the ways that he was treated. And John Batove Jr., it was his dream, it was his passion, it was his enthusiasm that brought the Raptors to life. And sadly, he only got 1 year of owning the team because a man named Alan Slate stabbed him in the back. So it's tough. When you have your first year, you really want to start off right, and you want the right people in there making the right decisions right from the bat. Damon Stoudemire, fantastic choice right away. And that was Isaiah's choice himself that made that choice. And that was gutsy as hell. He made the first pick in the Raptors history, a man who was under 6 feet tall. And, he got Rookie of the Year. And Isaiah was right. So, yeah, I want to tell Raptors Nation, if you think Isaiah Thomas was a joke or a bad GM for the Raptors, you're an idiot. He was absolutely fantastic. He drafted Marcus Camby. He drafted Tracy McGrady. He drafted Damon Stoudemire. And he did a very good job of making our team competitive early in some ways, even though some of the directive was to not win because we wanted to stack draft picks and stuff like that. So Trevor's saying Fever doing damage without their top player. Yeah. It kind of makes you think, what would they do? And actually, it kind of makes you think, is she actually their top player? That's the thing right there. That made me thinking, like, wait, is she actually their top player, Caitlin Clark? Or what would they do if she was actually there? How much more better would they be? These are things to ponder. Yeah, let's see. G saying, Cool Cat, they will. Look at the hardship contracts Fever were able to get. Players with no homes that have huge impact, like Ari, Sims, Powers, they will follow Valkyrie's steps. That's the thing. We're going to need somebody like Masai around the Toronto Tempo. And well, it doesn't hurt that Teresa Resch was around Masai a lot, and she's a disciple of his. You know, Teresa Resch understanding how Masai scouts and being around him for like 10 years. Like she worked with him for a long, long time. And that's why I keep saying, don't poo-poo Bobby Webster and Teresa Resch's time with Masai Ujiri, because they were learning and working alongside him. And like I said, what would Masai do? That's what they probably ask themselves daily while they're doing their jobs, running their teams. It's like, what would Masai do in this situation? You know, they probably do ask themselves that. Bobby probably does ask himself that from time to time still in the post-Masai era. So if we can get somebody who's really good at scouting the women's basketball world to the point where they understand everybody who's kind of on the fringes of just being barely in the league, people like Letitia Emma here, and kind of like understanding is like, look, we could find people that are just on the fringes but could really blow up just getting an opportunity. That's where the gold. That's where, because there's gonna be like we've been saying, one of the problems with the WNBA is there's not enough teams, and there's a lot of good talented players, and there's good college players coming up that Cool Cat know about that aren't finding a place in the league. So in some ways, that is the area where we got to look. Now, can we get the Toronto Tempo to be like the Raptors and be a very good internationally scouting franchise? Because that's a huge part of the success of the Raptors in 30 years is international players and being ahead of knowing where they are and getting them here. People like Shamshay, people like Anthony Parker, people like Jose Calderon. So it's like, can we get that kind of feel for our Toronto Tempo as we start to build this franchise? Can we get a scouting department that can be the equivalent of what Masai would have done with the Raptors and how we got so good at scouting around the world like that? Because that is where the gold is to be mined. It's in those just barely on the fringe of making the WNBA and then kind of formulating a roster that makes sense fitting together. Like maybe you see somebody like, wow, this girl, she's so good. Like she'll be really good if she just needs a chance, but she does have this flaw. And this is the thing that we may need to cover up with her. Well, what about this player over here? They could be the antidote to some of the flaws with that woman. And then boom, they go together and it actually fits pretty good because somebody's covering up somebody. That's the stuff we got to sort out. We got to look at the terrain, survey the landscape of the women's basketball world and really mine those edges. And think about where the opportunities are. It's kind of like Bobby and Masai looking around the league and saying, well, Emmanuel Quickley is on the Knicks and he's not starting. He's a good player. He could probably start. He's stuck behind Jalen Brunson. There's an opportunity there. You get him away from the Knicks, all of a sudden he start for you. Maybe there's players around the WNBA already that are maybe good enough to start, but they're behind somebody. And they just like that Jalen Brunson, Emmanuel Quickley situation. And the Tempo are like, you know what? You can come to Canada and we'll start you. You'll start just like IQ for the Raptors. You know, these are the kind of things that I would be thinking about in the department at the Toronto Tempo. If I start talking about this too much, Teresa, you might hire me, right? Get old Lex down there and I'll help you with your scouting department. I don't know. Maybe I might do that. But Cool Cat, if she can come and work with me, I'll come down there. All right. Because she's very good. She's been watching a lot of basketball, women's basketball. That's right. Let's keep going. Let's see. Yeah, I like that comment by G. Cool Cat saying, I have to reschedule my Toronto Tempo window appointment for the upcoming season. I missed the initial mailings. They've been so late to initiate the season tickets buying for the people that signed up that it's kind of been a little bit confusing. A lot of people have been like, what are they doing? I'm so mad. This is taking so long. Well, they're calling everybody individually, like in a row on the list. It's not, and they don't have a huge infrastructure like MLSE and the Raptors. You got to understand this. The Tempo are just starting out. And in some ways, they're not just starting out as a WNBA team. They're starting out as an organization because Kilmer Group does not have previous sporting teams going, like, at least I don't know of that they're associated with, where there's an infrastructure for the organization like MLSE has an infrastructure. So please be patient, people that are dealing with the Tempo for season tickets, and just understand that it's a new operation and they're not on the total scale that the MLSE is on. And that's great. In fact, that's making me want to support them more. That's what I say right there. Yeah. Seymour saying Wiggins proves that mental health is a real. Stay strong, champ. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't want anything bad for Andrew Wiggins. I'm just trying to be real about things here. I'm just trying to be real about things here. The man was a number one pick, right? He was a very, very touted player. And in some ways, he could have been more than what he was. I just see the potential. And I know that the things that they talked about, he really did kind of stall out in Minnesota for a while. And his progress was stunted early to stop him from getting to a higher vector of success later in his career. And, he could have been like, I don't know. There's a lot of things he could have been in some ways. I'm not going to say he wasn't a success. He's been a very successful NBA player. Just as much as I won't say Andrea Bargnani is a bust at the number one pick, neither is Andrew for sure. But I also could see that there's a whole bunch of stuff he left on the table that could have been possible if he had been a little bit more serious when he was younger. Let's just put it that way. I think that's what it is right there. Cool Cat saying, I hope we keep RJ on the Raptors. Our fan base is not hyping him, unfortunately. Well, they're idiots in some ways because, listen, you know what it is? RJ Barrett is Canadian, and he plays for the Canadian team. The U.S. media has completely forgotten about him already. Canadian media doesn't really want to push him either because they're very hockey-centric. And in some ways, they're scared of the popularity of basketball overtaking hockey more and more. So putting RJ on blast too much is a really inspiring story for people to want to be more on basketball, right? So he's in a weird place. In some ways, I know he doesn't care because he wants to work silently, and all the attention and all that kind of stuff doesn't matter because it's not real. What's real is what he does on the court and the outcomes that he gets. And, honestly, he's going to get accolades and attention and honors for what he does either way because he's going to be that good. And, whether it's on Canada in FIBA, whether it's on the Raptors in the NBA, RJ Barrett's going to make them respect him. And Raptors fans, if you're with him right now, like I am, riding with him, our hometown guy, you're on the right side and you're going to look better and better. But anybody who's an anti-RJ that's in the Raptors nation, you're an idiot, and you're going to find out just how important and special he is this year. And you should love the factor. Once again, I think a lot of the people in Raptors nation that aren't enthusiastic about RJ being on our team are not people who live in Toronto, or they're not people that actually are Raptors fans. I really do feel like there's a lot of Knicks fans coming into our spaces, acting like they're Raptors fans and putting down RJ, partly because they're hating that he's gotten better since he came to our team, partly because they didn't like him when he was on their team already, and they're just continuing the hate that they had for him when he was on the Knicks. So there's a lot of places where this energy comes from, and some of it is racism, some of it is hockey people, some of it is Americans hating on a Canadian guy playing for Canada. There's not a lot of reasons for the NBA to invest in advertising RJ because in some ways, he's great for NBA Canada side stuff, but in some ways they don't want to put him on blast. They should, though. And I hope that he makes the World All-Star team. If he makes it, that's fantastic. Because I honestly think he's one of the top 12 international players in the league right now. I think he is. If we really delineated and went all the way down the list, but he's not going to get put on any list. I mean, they wouldn't even put him on that pyramid tier of young players. He's not even on there. They just overlook him. So this is part of it. The fans are being taught to overlook and disrespect RJ by the media. So don't fall for it, Raptors fans. Understand our hometown hero number 9 is a badass, and you're going to see it again this year. Trust me, you're going to see it again this year. It's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be awesome. Let's see. Seymour saying Dylan Brooks, future Raptor. I'd love that too. I know he'd probably come play for us too. Yeah. Although he's really enjoyed beating the Raptors. That's kind of his action. But yeah, I'd love for Dylan to be here. I'd love for Dylan to be here. Let's go to the Instagram stories. You've inspired me to go look at the Instagram stories right now because there's stuff going on. First of all, Eugenio Marui is playing a clip from basketball in Philippines. And they're saying that basketball has gotten crazier over there. In fact, there's a full contact basketball game going on in this thing where the guy's totally locking up the guy with the ball like he's got him in a full Nelson. And this other guy has to come over and pry him off of him just so the guy can get away from him. So is this what's going on? It's like they're bringing back hand checking. No, they're bringing back body checking. No, they're bringing back submission holds. They're just putting submission holds in basketball now in Philippines, apparently. It's very interesting. Eugene likes it. He's like, it's getting crazier. I bet you Eugene would play this Filipino style of basketball because he's a big burly man himself. That's right. Canadian Eugene Omarui. That's right. Ulrich Shamshe. This made me so happy yesterday seeing this. And where in the world is Serge Ibaka? Where is Serge Ibaka right now? Where in the world is Serge Ibaka? We played this game. He's around the world more than Carmen Sandiego. He's just like that. He's just like that. Well, he's at OVO Center. That's where he is. He's circled back to Toronto again, apparently, and spent the weekend mentoring our young Shamshe. Well, what can be bad about that? One of the greatest shot blockers in the history of the NBA, Serge Ibaka, is in the lab with Ulrich, teaching the young Cameroonian. And this is so good. I mean, please, Serge, come and work with Ulrich as much as possible, please, because you have so much expertise on angles, on blocking shots, that, you know, he could really put into use some of the old skills you used to do when you led the league in blocks for the Oklahoma City Thunder early in your career. Yeah, Ulrich Shamshe, he needs to be your pupil as much as possible. And I love seeing them together because there's so much Ibaka could teach young Shamshe. This is such a good thing. This is the stuff like they were showing Wemby working out with Olajuwon or something this summer or something like that. This is big time. This is big time. And you know what? It doesn't hurt that Serge Ibaka is a champion with the Raptors, and he brings that kind of culture and identity to his instruction for Ulrich. Now, I you know what? Forget about just teaching Shamshe. Let's get Mobo. Let's get Scott. Let's get all the guys down there and let Professor Ibaka go to class. That's right. That's what I want to see, man. I just love seeing this. Serge and Ulrich, Raptors generations. Let's see what's going on there. Kyle Lowry is sad today. One of the security detail of the Miami Heat unexpectedly passed away recently. And Kyle Lowry is a Sixer, but his life goes through Miami and Toronto also, and other places too. So it says, our collective hearts are heavy with sadness as we grieve the loss of beloved Miami Heat team security detail member Kenneth Lewis. Kenny also spent 26 years serving the U.S. Air Force as a Chief Master Sergeant and received close to 20 service medals. Thank you, Kenny, for protecting not only our team, but our country as well. Our thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to Kenny Lewis's family and friends. Yeah, Lowry, I guess he interacted with this guy as this one of the security guys for the Miami Heat while he was down there, and he meant something to him. So he's putting that on past. It's a sad moment. Savannah Hamilton putting on display that Aja Wilson's a 4-time MVP, just like Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and LeBron James. That's all before the age of 30. Wow. Yeah, so back-to-back MVPs there for her. And also, Savannah's got this really interesting clip from this guy who made a clip about the WNBA, and he's got 10 commandments for men when talking about the WNBA. And it's basically stuff like, don't call them girls, don't sexualize them, don't say things like they make less than the men, you know, don't try and make rules changes like you want to lower the basket or anything. You know, it's all this knucklehead stuff that people do. I mean, I've been guilty of some of this stuff in the past as far as like calling them ladies or girls. And, you know, I want to be respectful to the league. And I appreciate clips like this coming out to kind of teach people to be more respectful towards the WNBA. It's fantastic. So, yeah, let's see. Jamal McGlure took the stage this weekend to do some comedy. He was at Scarborough Spots, and there's a bunch of people getting on stage for charity and getting on the mic and telling a couple jokes. But, yeah, Jamal actually got up there himself and got on the stage and was telling some funnies. So good job, public speaking, Big Cat, and what you're doing there. Toronto Tempo president Teresa Resch was down at King Taps, and they were showing the WNBA playoffs yesterday. So she was very happy about that. Jamal Shed is saying a happy birthday to Marcus Sasser, his former teammate at Houston. And there's a funny picture, it's a really cool picture of the 2 point guards doing a jump ball in the middle of the court with Sean Corbin in the middle of them. And yeah, they had to tip the ball. And it's like, it's funny. It's like Shed said, get your little ass up, Sass. Because it's like, it's funny because the 2 short point guards are doing the jump ball because they had to for some reason, I guess. But it's a cool artistic picture. And of course, he's saying happy birthday to him, his former teammate. There's the jersey swap between the Piston and the Raptor. Pascal Siakam's weekly segment on Sunday is Who Knows This Banger? Every Sunday, Siakam, without fail, is posting another song and saying, hey, who knows this banger? Have you heard this one? Have you heard this one? It's awesome. He's so joyful when he's listening to it. He's like, this song. He's so cool, man. I love Siakam. And Chris Boucher, this is huge, man. And in some ways, this is really touching, man. And I think this is totally Coach Joe Mazzulla. Coach Mazzulla got Chris to do something life-transforming yesterday. And it's to the point where Chris is calling Coach Joe his family now. Chris Boucher got baptized yesterday, guys. He went to church, and the priest and another guy dipped him in the water and changed his life yesterday in Boston. I have a feeling that Joe Mazzulla is an extremely religious man. You guys got to understand this. He really is. He's very, very religious. I think that he may have had a talk with Chris when he showed up in Boston, and he found out that he wasn't actually baptized. And he said, I want you to get baptized. So he got him baptized. Chris was all about it, though. And he was like really grateful about doing it. So, yeah, it's interesting. There's everybody's uncle, his agent, and another friend, and Coach Joe there, where Chris just got dunked in the water. And he's a changed man. He's given his life to Christ now. So, yeah, I mean, I all the power to Chris and getting baptized yesterday. In some ways, it's like, yeah, I know it's the Celtics. I know it's Joe Mazzulla, but some things are bigger than competition and sports. And this is a special moment for Chris in his life. I can tell. I'm wondering, like, why didn't we take him down there to get baptized? Well, we're not Joe Mazzulla, and we didn't force him to do that. Also, there's a cool picture at the end of Chris's Instagram with Dylan Brooks, which made me want to do this, of them in Oregon. It's Chris, Boucher, Dylan Brooks, Peyton Pritchard from their Oregon days squad. That's right, because that's the thing. Chris is with Peyton now, and Peyton and Chris are old college teammates. So there's a lot of familiarity on the Boston team for Chris, having his old friend Peyton there. So, yeah, Chris is bonding with the Celtics, and he's bonding through religion with his coach is what's going on right there. Yeah, there you go. Cool Cat saying Magic and Bird era was the first phase of NBA rejuvenation of the league. Great players, the black-white race issue, great personalities was the perfect sweep spot for marketing, was a hit. Yeah, it was very effective on a young man myself, like when I was growing up. I can remember getting old comic books, like Marvel comic books, and they'd have like a Converse basketball shoe ad in it. And it would be like Dr. J and Larry Bird, or Magic and Larry. And they had the Converse. It's like Larry had black and white ones, and Magic had white ones with purple and yellow on them. And yeah, you could get the different Converse shoes between Bird and Magic. And, you know, so that's how you kind of could rep who you're like for, the Celtics or the Lakers. And yeah, it was really smart. And David Stern was very, very intelligent during that time, building up the brand of the NBA. David Stern, in a lot of ways, made the NBA what it is. He had a similar impact like Vince McMahon with wrestling, and Hulk Hogan was Michael Jordan. So it's a, you know, it is the part of it. You know, in some ways, Magic Johnson was like Andre the Giant. You know, there were certain big names that were coming along, but then Michael came in, like Hogan came in, and boom, it was gangbusters after that. Hulkamania, Air Jordan. This is a very similar kind of stuff in those two different worlds, kind of the different people. But David Stern was Vince McMahon. He was the one who orchestrated the NBA to become more successful. The NBA was in trouble to get run out of business in 1980. There was a really bad opinion of it publicly. A lot of people did not think the NBA was a good league. They thought it was there were a bunch of problems. Let's just put it that way. There was a lot of problems with cocaine. Let's just put it that way. A lot of problems with cocaine during that time. Seymour saying, big up all the Raptor freaks, past, present, and future. There you go. There you go. Yeah, let's just stay in the now and go for it. And the media day is a week from today, guys. That's right. On Monday next week, the Raptors will be showing up for media day and interviews with Michael Grange and Doug Smith. And, well, we'll be covering them here on the channel for sure. We'll see what everybody's saying coming in, Coach Darko and Bobby Webster and everybody else. I'm going to miss Masai next week. I know I will. Masai, you, Jerry, we love you. Fuck you, Ed Rogers III. That's what I say right there. That's right. That's right. Fiercely saying WNBA is very exciting. So nice to witness the talents on the court. They play hard and provide great entertainment. Yeah. Well, I had a lot of fun playing fantasy WNBA, and we're going to play fantasy NBA, guys. So if you're interested in playing fantasy NBA with the Raptor Freak family, we do have some spots left. I'm trying to get them tightened up and filled, and then I'm going to make the divisions and the schedule for the season. So if you want to play Yahoo Fantasy NBA, you can play with the people on the channel if you want. A lot of people are right here. Cool Cat's playing, and Gerald's going to play, and James is playing, and Kaz. So there's a lot of us in the chat that are going to be playing. So if you want to join, your chance is now. So you got to tell me, and I'll send you the link. Cool Cat is saying, I also covet Dylan Brooks for the Raptors for many years. With Masai gone, I don't think it will happen anymore. I don't know about that. I don't know about whether Masai would have a factor in that or not. I mean, in some ways, it's up to the player. And, I would see Dylan maybe coming through here at some point. But it's not for sure. And it's not, it doesn't have to happen, but it would be nice if it did. I would say that. It would be nice. Yeah, I feel bad for Delano Banton, big 45, hard time securing his NBA career. Yeah. Yeah, in some ways, Delano needed to take care of a couple of fundamental flaws that he has in his game and cover them up better, but he has not. And that's the big problem. I mean, it's not that he's just lanky. I mean, in some ways, that that lankiness and the quick up the court is such a strength of his. It's just that in some ways, once again, you can get to the destination, the NBA, but maybe that's all you can do. You can't actually change your game to survive it. You could be talented enough to get to that level, but if you don't change your skills or really ensconce what your value is for teams in the short period of time you get to try out for the NBA, it's tough, man. It's so tough. It's so tough. Seymour and Precious is feeling it too right now. Seymour Sam Man played 0 college games, was drafted high as a Canadian. Shaden can be the next Brandon Roy of Portland. I don't want that. You get hurt and have a shortened career. No, we don't want him to be the next Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy was amazing, and some people said we should have drafted him instead of Bargnani. I don't know. You may be right. Hindsight is 2020, though. What can you do? What can you do? Yeah, Andrew came straight out of high school into the NBA. But I feel like maybe what is to blame? Was it Andrew just didn't have the right people in Minnesota to coach him correctly and get the best out of him? Was he, I don't know. In some ways, I don't know why I have this opinion of him. I just, for some reason, I look at him and I see the hype and what they were saying about him. It's like the dude did not live up to what he could have been. And I'll bet you at some point, YouTube channel Stunted Growth will do Andrew Wiggins, and they will talk about why. And it'll be some of the stuff I've already said today. Why didn't Andrew Wiggins be a better NBA player? Now, don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean he's not successful, because Stunted Growth has done episodes on Kevin Durant. Why isn't Kevin Durant better? He could have been better. James Harden's gotten Stunted Growth. Like, why isn't James Harden won more championships and stuff? Like, he goes and he really looks at the potentials of players and why did they not grow to it? What stunted their growth? And he's really real about it. So I'd be interested to see what the Andrew Wiggins episode would be as far as what he would say. Fiercely saying definitely the next face of the league will be American, but who? I don't know if that's definite. I think that they want it to be definitely that, but I don't know if they're getting their way. And it's a symptom of the NBA prep system in the USA not doing things right for players. In some ways, the better all-around players are coming from Europe at this point. I mean, you can look at it. Look at who are the top players in the league. Giannis, Jokic, SGA, Luka. These guys are all the best all-around players. And a lot of the best all-around players are people like LeBron that are American, are in that cohort. They're going to retire very soon. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and LeBron James. So who's the heir apparents on the American side? Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson? No, you gotta do what's natural and what fits. And as much as they want to force an American face of the NBA, I don't know if they're going to get it, because the best players in the league are not American right now. That is just the damn truth. The top 3 candidates for MVP are not American. They're Greek, Serbian, and Canadian. That is what they are. It's just like, if they do name an international player, I sense they're prepping Luka to claim that status. All these NBA posts this summer. Yeah, Luka is a natural choice, but in some ways, once again, it's not totally ideal for them because he isn't actually American. But they would love to market him. I mean, he's a attractive person that people would be like, oh, he's such a smiley, happy-go-lucky guy, and he's in LA now, which is definitely a crown jewel team where they really want to have a player that's very attractive to that people are going to want to pay tickets to watch. So yeah, that the whole thing with him going to LA is so fishy to me still. It's so fishy. So fishy. Yeah, Neil's saying this. LeBron is waiting for Bryce to get in the league or not make the league. Oh, he's waiting for Bryce to come up. That's right. I totally forgot about Bronny. I don't even know what Bronny's doing. I don't care. Bryce, he's waiting for Bryce to make the league, and then he wants to play with both his sons. This is crazy, man. Fiercely saying le delusional. All right, we're gonna give you a dunk for that. That's hilarious. She just called him le delusional. That's hilarious. 122 for Fiercey on the dunk chart. 122 for delusional. Is that mid coworker nobody wants on their team, but that company is stuck with them. I mean, let's have all due respect. LeBron is LeBron, and he needs respect. But in some ways, if you're gonna hang around so long and have such longevity, at a certain point, you're gonna water down your legacy. Just ask Michael Jordan. And sometimes you need to know when to go. And I mean, I'm not trying to force LeBron to retire because I know that's not a popular thing. People don't want him to retire. They feel so blessed to be living in the era that he played. I get it. I'm just saying you can overstay your welcome. That's all I'm saying here. I'll say that. That's what I'll say. You can overstay your welcome. That's right. That's right. Now, Nako's here. Good to see Gerald. OKC, Rockets, and Denver are the best in the West. Wolves are better than the Lakers. Yeah, I won't disagree with that. The Lakers don't really have a team. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to have a team this year. They're going to look weird, man. They're going to look really weird. They have such weird personalities on that team right now that they're going to look really weird. DeAndre Ayton is not a step in the right direction. Let's just put it that way. This has been proven in his last few stops around the league. So, yeah, this is not a winning move. Let's just put it that way. I totally agree. The Timberwolves have a lot more to offer with Edwards and Gobert in their roster, and they did well in the playoffs last year. So I completely agree with that. And I think your top three teams in the West are about right, too. I think they're about right. G saying Marquise Noel signed to Baskonia in EuroLeague. So that's it, man. Marquise got his dream to play for the Raptors, play for the NBA on the Raptors. He got an NBA game. He made the NBA. He can say he's an NBA player, but it's that quick. It's that fleeting. The dream is hard to hold on to, especially if you're 5'7". And well, the man's gone to Europe. And how many years ago was he on our team and playing in the NBA? Yeah, 2 years ago. Not that long ago. And it's already out. That's that revolving door right there. Right there, guys. Shaq Lindsay's here. Good morning to Raptor Freak channel member Shaq Lindsay. I appreciate your support. Let's celebrate the fact that we already have a Canadian on the roster, RJ. All this talk about SGA makes me feel we don't appreciate RJ. I like Sharp, but he's like Andrew. We've got to remember also that we do have AJ Lawson also. And, he's hopefully going to make the team. Brampton guy is going to be on the Raptors this year, hopefully. And hopefully he sticks around. And he's very, very good for us. So, yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you. Let's not overlook RJ like everybody else is doing. In fact, let's over-importance RJ in balancing out things because of the omissions. How about that? That's what I say right there. That's right. That's part of the reason why I put RJ's picture on the stream yesterday when we were talking about the FIBA rankings. It's like, man, I'm going to put RJ on blast every single time I can. I'm going to put Masai on blast every single time I can. I'm going to put, Barrett on blast. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Where are we now? Okay, Milbester's here, and he's going to give us our baseball update, it looks like. All right, let's see. I lost my place. Just give me a sec. I'll find it. Trevor J. Trevor J saying, I saw an interview with LeBron after the season. He will be retired. He said that this will be his last season. Well, I could see them announcing this near the beginning of the season, and this is going to be LeBron's last year. And so teams, when he comes through your city, honor him, do your final goodbyes to the great LeBron James, because this is probably his last tour and coming around. They need to announce this ahead of time because the teams want to have a chance to say goodbye to him. And LeBron's very publicly said he wants this too. He wants to get the kudos and go around the whole entire season and get his final season like love. So I'll bet you if this is true, Trevor's saying, they're going to announce it near the beginning of the season. Everybody's going to know it's LeBron's last season. Everybody's going to know. Shaq Lindsay saying, mark my words, RJ will be an all-star, and all this talk about trading him will be how much it's going to cost to keep him. Yeah. Yeah, and I hate how everybody wants to switch him out for people like Lauri Markkanen, different people around the league. They see this like, well, we just trade RJ for this person. Fuck that. Once again, there's obviously a lot of hate towards Toronto and Toronto having a Toronto hero because people want to pull that apart. That tells you a lot that there is so much energy out there that is not about RJ being a Raptor, that's valuable and special. Think about that. That's valuable and special, just how much hate that arrangement is getting in different ways, if you really think about it. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay, I love what you just said. I'm going to give you a dunk because I think you're exactly right. I want RJ to prove everybody and shut them up and say, look, this is what I do, and this is why you should respect me. 75 on the dunk chart for Shaq Lindsay. Yeah, I'm totally with him on that. Kaz is here. Good morning to our Raptor Freak WNBA fantasy champion, Kaz. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freak crew. Randolph is here also. Good morning to Randolph Phillips. Guiding light for me. Monday blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Time is endless. Time is limited. Time waits for no one. Everyone is given time. No one knows how much time they have in this life. Use your time wisely. Yeah. Procrastination is tough because, some people just naturally feel like procrastinating, but, sometimes it's best to do what you can right away. It's tough. I'm really bad with procrastination. I need to be better about this in some ways. I really do. Because listen, there is going to be times where you're out of time and you are going to wish you did stuff. I appreciate Randolph's words of wisdom. Blessing to the Phillips family, all the Raptor Freak families, and all the people in Randolph's lives. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, sir. That's right. Nako's saying, actually, Wolves over Rockets. No, I wouldn't go there. You got to remember the Wolves have lost a couple of pieces like Nickel. I think that they lost another player too that's kind of important to their rotation from last year. So we'll have to see how the Timberwolves look with a couple of the minuses that they've gone through this offseason. I think with Durant coming to the Rockets, you got to bump them up, especially since they finished higher than Timberwolves last year, right? They finished higher than Timberwolves in the standings. It was OKC, Houston, 1 and 2. And, Kevin Durant's just getting added to that team. In some ways, I can't agree with this. I think the Rockets are better than Timberwolves. Yeah. Fiercely saying, I have full confidence in Larry Tannenbaum's group. Forgot the name, Kilmer. And the fact that he positioned Teresa to run the tempo, her acumen and extensive training under Masai will definitely help. And she herself has hired competent and knowledgeable team members. Soon, Toronto Tempo Nation will say, in Teresa, we trust. Yeah, we already saying that. That's right. And I really do like the fact that Teresa Resch is, like I said, a disciple of Masai Ujiri. That, in some ways he saw something in her when she was younger and in a different position, Disney Wild World of Sports, different things in her past where she was working. And he really helped her blossom into being the president of the Toronto Tempo. In some ways she'd probably tell you right away, there's no way that I get this path laid out for me in being the president of the Tempo without Masai. There's no way. He absolutely is integral to her path and being where she is right now. So there's a lot of, and I also have a feeling that, Ujiri's not leaving Toronto completely. I have a feeling he's keeping his home here with his wife and his kids, and he's going to be around Toronto still. And in some ways, I'll bet you money, he's available to Teresa to talk to and mentor, help her, And I wouldn't be surprised if Bobby's able to talk to him too still also on an unofficial level. And who knows? Who knows? Masai may be like, he cares so much about the Raptors and he cares so much about Teresa and Bobby that I'll bet you Masai is not that he do pro bono work or anything like that, but he's probably like, you know what? He does care about the Raptors continuing to be successful. He's not leaving the Raptors with a bitter bone in his body. He's just too classy and too much better than that. That, you know, he understands. He's so wise. He understands chapters end and things happen, even if they're not totally fair and they didn't have to happen. He can let it go and understand this is just how it is. And you know, there's such a grace in that. And I think there's also a grace in like him not being bitter towards the franchise, the city, or the Raptors. You know, I don't know if he has any bitterness. He may have some bitterness towards Ed Rogers and Keith Pelly, but maybe not. Maybe he's just like, no, I get it. You're an asshole and you don't like me and you had to fire me as soon as you got into power, you know? So I would be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Masai Ujiri was actually kind of on the down low helping Bobby Webster, but not full time. And obviously he's not going to take away from his life and get all stressed out being the team president of the Raptors, sure, but not in an unofficial capacity, just as maybe a very special consultant that maybe even Ed Rogers doesn't even know that Bobby's still talking to him. I mean, that's fantastic if that it can still be a part of the brain trust somehow, even if not officially. Because let's not get it twisted. Masai's not rushing to another NBA team. He's not interested in running a lot of those other teams. If the price is right, he may do it, but I don't see him doing it. I think that he has much bigger things to do in this world beyond the NBA at this point. And it's shown by the UN giving him a special leadership role in the UN. The United Nations just named him something recently. So yeah, some things are bigger than basketball, and Masai Ujiri's outgrown it. I think he's outgrown it. Yeah. Let's see. Kareem Thomas saying, why they say it's raining cats and dogs? I have not seen any animals fall from the sky during a heavy downpour. Patiently waiting. Yeah, that's kind of a weird story. You know, there are weird occurrences where precipitation from the sky is not just rain, H2O. You know, there's weird stuff like I think I heard about somewhere where there wasn't cats and dogs, but chickens raining down from the sky once because of some sort of weird accident or something like that. There will be some weird occurrences where it rains frogs in some places too. I know that sounds really weird, but yeah, there are some strange rain phenomena, but I've never actually heard of cats and dogs. You're right. Why would they say that? Why would they say that? I wonder where the root or origin of that saying is. Let's just see this. You know what? Let's just learn real quick. Why not? We have the internet. Let's see. I'm going to say, where did raining cats and dogs come from? There you go. It's all ready to go. The origin of raining cats and dogs is not definitively known. But plausible theories suggest a connection to 17th century England, where heavy rains would wash dead animals from filthy streets. Okay, that is grim. That is why it's raining cats and dogs, because the rain is so coming down that it's actually pushing the dead animals down the gutter. That's, I think, where it comes from. As gross and sad as that sounds, Kareem. There you go. There you go. Fiercely saying RJ's new hairstyle is fire. Watch out for him. That's right. Quietly working, quietly getting better. Show your work this year, Barrett. Show your work and show them that they need to STF you. That's right. Show your work, RJ, and I'll be cheering you on. I'll be singing your praises every day after the games, and I'll be saying, yeah, what do you think now about Rowan Barrett Jr.? Yeah, what do you think now is what I'll be saying about RJ Barrett this season. That's right. That's right. Milbester's here. Knicks Freak. All right, this is good. We got Knicks Freak here. We're talking RJ Barrett. Let's go. Good morning, Lex. How was the weekend and Sunday? Isn't Sunday the weekend? So your Royals almost swept. Not my Royals. Not my Royals. The Royals almost swept the Jays 3-game series on Sunday. If they lose that game, Yankees are 1 game back, and they beat the Orioles in extra innings. Yeah, it's a little tight. I mean, the Blue Jays have faltered a little bit recently, but they're holding it together, and hopefully we get there. At least we clinched for sure. We're in the postseason yesterday, and that's great right there. That's great right there. They celebrated too. And, some people were saying, why are the Blue Jays celebrating like this? Don't be Patrick Beverly jumping up on the scorers table in a playing game, Blue Jays. Well, it's been a little while. And in some ways, you want to get that feeling of, woo, we did something that we haven't done in a while. And these young players, they haven't had this taste of success on the Blue Jays like this. So let them have their moment. They won't stick in that moment for too long. They got way more work to do, but let them celebrate because it is something special that they got in the postseason. That's right. Boom goes the dynamite. It's fiercely saying Serge mentoring Shamshe is music to my ears. Yes. Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, there's been a couple of things this week that have absolutely made my week. And Grady Dick and Scotty Barnes and Jacoby Walter TikTok dance was one of them. And Serge Ibaka sitting in OVO with Ulrich Shamshe is one of them. And then SGA talking to Nardwuar. This is just good, wholesome, makes your soul feel good kind of stuff. You got SGA and Nardwuar, just, so impeccable, masterpiece. Then you got Ibaka teaching Shamshe at OVO on the same day. Woo! And then just the joy shared between Grady, Scotty, and Jacoby with their goofy ass TikTok dancing. Yeah, these are the things that keep me going in a weird ass, crazy ass world like it is today. Is those kind of things. They keep me happy. That's right. Milbester saying the Jays clinched the postseason berth with the win, but the division and wild card isn't decided for them yet. That's right. That's right. And I'm not going to go over all the rest of that because that's in the weeds. And I'm going to skip some more of the baseball. We're not doing a baseball update every single day, Milbester. We'll check in every once in a while, but you don't have to give me the fine print of the MLB postseason race right now that's going on to the end of the season here. We don't need the blow-by-blow. Well, I'm happy they've clinched. And really, that's the only story I have to cover in the MLB is the Blue Jays have clinched the postseason as of yesterday. That's the only one I care about. Shaq Lindsay saying RJ was a throw-in from the OG trade. RJ's salary is too high. RJ doesn't play defense or RJ doesn't fit well with BI. This is just some of the criticism RJ gets, not only from the American media, but ours as well. Question, would you rather have RJ or Wiggins because they both make the same and they weren't valued by their organization? I've gone over this very publicly many times, whether it's the Raptors or Team Canada. I'm picking Barrett. He's younger. And honestly, in some ways, he's hitting some of the ceilings that, to me, Andrew's already hit in his whole entire career. Not the championship, not like some of the stuff that Andrew's done. But RJ, in some ways, is hitting on all cylinders, getting closer to fulfilling his potential than I feel like Andrew ever came to what he could have done. So I will take the hardworking RJ Barrett, the one we already have on our team, over an aged Andrew Wiggins, who's near the end of his career, especially right now. So yeah, Shaq Lindsay's going over a lot of the bullshit that's out there, saying he's a throw-in. Bullshit. Listen, OG Anunoby was coveted by the Knicks for many years. They really wanted him. And well, Masai and Bobby got the right price for him. 1 starter for 2 starters. And I loved it. And, people can say he's the throw-in. No. The throw-in was Malachi Flynn. The throw-in was Malachi Flynn and maybe Precious. But no, there was no throw-in coming the other way towards us. The 2 players we got from New York are starters. And that's insulting to say that RJ Barrett was a throw-in. That's crazy. RJ doesn't play defense? No, RJ is playing better and better defense since he came to Toronto, and he has better defensive players around him than he did in New York. Well, he's playing better defense with better defensive teammates around him. And that's a big part of it is that New York's team defense was not helping each other. So any kind of weaknesses RJ has defensively were exploited more because his teammate weren't there for him and having his back. Well, the Raptors have his back better. And any kind of discrepancies or perceived lack of skills in defense, they're not going to look so bad on the Raptors as they did in New York because there's somebody there to catch and his name is Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl is there. You're also saying his salary is too high? No, he's very affordable for what he does. And once again, this is just bull crap. I mean, you're going to tell me his salary too high? We can go around the league, and I'll tell you way more higher paid players that are worse than him in this league that are getting paid higher than him, for sure. I'm going to take all these down right here. That's right. RJ doesn't fit well with BI. How do you know? We haven't even seen them play together. Who the fuck is saying this already? How do you know that RJ Barrett can't play with Brandon Ingram? Like, you haven't seen them even take the court together once. Man, these people are crazy, man. I'm telling you, this is just like getting spin out there ahead of it to just try and be full of shit kind of stuff. It's like, how can you make this opinion? RJ Barrett has never played a single damn game on the court with Brandon Ingram in the NBA ever. How do you know whether they fit or not? It's crazy, man. It's ridiculous, Shaq Lindsay. Thank you for helping me illustrate just how ridiculous it is. Just thank you for that, man. That's right. That's right. Fiercely saying this, wouldn't mind SGA being the face of the league. I think it's just naturally occurring. And Adam Silver, you may need to watch Nardwuar, the human serviette, and see, you can understand, wow, SGA is just such a well-spoken young man. I'd be a fool not to make him the face of the league. Mark, we're going to make SGA the face of the league. Yes, sir. Yes, my Sith Lord. Shaq Lindsay said RJ has missed playing for his national teams and said it was a dream come true to play for the Raptors. Let's celebrate that and appreciate that we have a talent like RJ on our team. Yeah. Sadly, Kelly didn't get to stay the rest of his career in Toronto, but that's just what it is. In some ways, we really need to covet and be happy RJ's on our team as long as he is on our team. And there may be forces out there that pull him off of our team somehow, some way. So Raptors fans, let's covet and be like celebratory and celebrate and just take this in while we can. Seriously, I hope he stays on our team for like the next 10 years, honestly. That's me personally. But I know a lot of y'all out there ain't about having RJ on the Raptors. I think y'all are fools, honestly. Because RJ, listen to the thing. When you play for a passion, when you play for your city, when you play for your country, you play different. And that's one of the reasons why they don't like RJ on our team, is because they're seeing an extra effort and seeing another level of RJ playing with passion in Toronto that they don't like, especially the people from New York who are like, man, RJ didn't work out for us. Wait a second. He's working out in Toronto. No, he can't. Let's just make up bullshit saying he isn't. Can you understand and Winders critically think this through and understand why is there so much noise about RJ out there? Because they're jealous ass Knickerbockers fans that wish that he had done what he's doing here in New York, and they're disappointed that now he's working out with us. And even if they don't want to believe he's working out with us, they're going to make up the bullshit saying that he isn't. Oh, he's in this. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't shoot well enough. He jacks up shots. Whatever bullshit they're going to say. Whatever bullshit they're going to say. James is saying, Lex, who's the best American player in the league, Tatum or Edwards? LeBron James. He's the best American player, or Steph Curry. It's the older generation. That's what I'm saying. Jason Tatum is not the best player in the league that's American. Jaylen Brown's better than him. Anthony Edwards is pretty good, and he could be the best player in the league at some point, but he's not yet. So I don't know. It's still the older generation that holds the best American spots. You know, it's the top three are probably Durant, James, and Curry. And they're not in that order. It could very well be Curry, James, Durant is the top three Americans in the league. Maybe James is number one. I don't know. But it's that generation of Americans that are the top Americans in the league. Wayne's here. Good to see our sergeant at arms, Wayne Strainer, coming here to hold down the order in the court. That's right. Morning, Raptor Freaks. Certain players made the NBA, but just didn't improve, not just game, but physically. Look at Giannis, Tatum, Pascal, DeMar, LeBron. One can see growth. Durant is a noted exception. Yeah, Durant, in some ways, his body hasn't totally changed a whole lot during his whole career. Maybe he could have bulked up and got more strength, and maybe that would have helped him in his later career with being a little bit better in recent years. I mean, I could start talking about that. I'll bet maybe Stunning Grove would talk about that, but maybe he didn't need to be like that because he's Slim Reaper, and he's got to be slim. And he didn't bulk up like DeMar. He didn't bulk up like LeBron. You know, Pascal adding that muscle and becoming who he is. That's the thing. You could be hungry and want to just make the league, make a bag and say, yeah, I made the league. I made $10 million. I'm in the NBA, but you're there for like 3 years. But I made the league. Well, it's making the league and then stay in the league and trying to keep getting better in the league. You can be talented enough to make the league, stay in the league, but if you don't get better, well, in some ways you're not doing your full potential. And that's the thing. You got to have DeRozan code. You got to be every offseason working on a new skill, coming back with new stuff. You got to always want to be trying to improve. That is what made DeMar DeRozan what he is in his career. And if you don't have DeRozan code, if you're one of these jabronis that's just coming up to get the paychecks and be in the NBA and live that lifestyle, well, there's just going to be a different outcome with what you accomplish in your NBA career. And that's just it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. When we suss out who in the NBA has DeRozan code and who doesn't, DeRozan code means you are there for your team. You're a good positive player for your team. You're not toxic. You're not a distraction. You're not causing headaches outside of the game, outside in regular life. You're showing up for games too. You're not taking a lot of DMPs. You're not chronically injured or in street clothes sitting on the bench. No, you're showing up every time and you're getting better all the time if you have DeRozan code. That's it right there. That's right. That's right. Nako's saying Wolves bench could be better, but the Wolves on defense more. You like the Wolves on defense more? That may very well be true. And that's really a lot of it has to do with Gobert. You know, they have a good defensive team in Minnesota. I'll agree with that. But I think that overall, Houston's still better than Minnesota. But I won't disagree with you. I think the Timberwolves have a better defense than the Rockets. Now, you know, Thompson gets better and calms down a little bit more. They may get better on defense quick. But losing Dylan Brooks was not the step in the right direction for their defense in Rockets land. Let's just put it that way. They're going to miss Dylan Brooks, just like Memphis did. That's right. Shaq Lindsay saying DeAndre is a prima donna like Dwight Howard. He's just a knucklehead. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about DeRozan code. DeAndre Ayton does not have DeRozan code. In some ways, he's in his own head with his own ego and thinking his own shit don't stink. And in some ways, bro, the wake-up call has been there a couple different times, whether it's in Phoenix with Monty Williams, whether it's been in this waste of time you've been doing in Portland the last couple of years. Yeah, in some ways, man, you're not a serious player. You're just a really big guy who made money. And you are in the league because you're a center and you should be able to help teams. But I wouldn't trust him to try and compete for my team and do what he does. No, he's flaky. And then when you need him the most, he doesn't show up. Just ask the Phoenix Suns. Just ask the Phoenix Suns. That's right. Wayne Strainer saying there's always exceptions to the rule. Milbester is one. Not a fan of baseball or American rugby, but because Milbester has been very respectful most times against us shouting at him, if he gets a pass. There you go. Sergeant Wayne Strader is giving him a bailiff's pass today for talking baseball because, you know, Wayne's like, what are you doing, man? This is a Raptors channel. We're talking about basketball. You can talk a little bit about Knicks. You can talk about Blue Jays, a little bit about Yankees with the Blue Jays. But, yeah, Sergeant Wayne is that guy. Order in the court. I'm sorry, Milbester. Timeout. Too much baseball. I like how they put it there. He's like, but Milbester has been very respectful most times. He gets a pass. There you go, Milbester. You got a pass from the sergeant at arms. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying if it's not bad enough that we have problems attracting American talent, but if we trade RJ, how do you think it will affect attracting our own Canadian talent? I don't know if it'll have that big of a deal. I think that players understand in the ecosystem, the NBA, trades and franchises, it's just going to happen and people get blindsided and some things will not be fair and some things will not be ideal. But I think it's on a case-by-case basis. And if something happens in a certain way, it's not like, you know, had the Raptors suffered for screwing over DeMar DeRozan in some ways with getting people to come here? No, not really. I mean, sure, maybe Kendrick Lamar will write a lyric that says we never deserved D Rose in a rap song, but that's not true either. And DeRozan would say that's true, that Toronto did deserve him and he deserved Toronto. So it's a weird thing in some ways. You're just trying to figure this out and stuff like that. I don't think we'd have problems getting Canadians to come here, even if something. I would not want them to do anything weird to RJ like they did to DeMar. Let's just put it that way. Kareem saying, would you rework the roster or fire Darko if we don't make the playoffs? No, we definitely making the playoffs. Just a hypothetical question. If we don't make the playoffs this year, it's going to be because of injuries. It's not going to be because of anything else. If we have a healthy year, we're definitely going to make the playoffs. So that's the only difference. Now, in some ways, if there's the injury problem, then you can kind of get some leeway saying, well, this guy didn't make it. And honestly, I don't want any of that kind of energy. None of that kind of energy. I think that Darko could be in trouble with his job if this year is not successful and it's not because of injuries. Yeah. But I don't think that's very likely. I think that the thing he's building is very much built for success and he's going to be fine. So I think he's more likely to win Coach of the Year this year than to get fired. And some people laugh at me to say that. It's people that don't like Darko, people that think that Darko's not a good coach. I'm going to say this again right now. Darko Rajakovic is more likely to win Coach of the Year this year than to get fired from being the coach of the Raptors. And anybody who's wanting Darko to get fired, well, hold your breath. You're not going to probably get it. And you may pass out because you didn't get enough oxygen. Because if you hold your breath, it's not going to happen. I'll bet you it won't. Because in some ways, once again, the Raptors aren't trying to do a coach's carousel. They want to find the right person, invest time with them, give them a real chance to do what they're doing. We're not trying to be like the Suns and changing our coach out every single year. It's not good for your team. Trust me, the Suns are going to feel it more and more in the next couple of years, how much they've changed coaches. And we don't need to do that. It's a really bad thing for NBA teams to do, is to keep going through coaches and trying to find them. You have to let your coach have a chance. This is not a dating app where you can just go disposable. No, coaches is a very big committed decision. They spent 3 months hiring Darko. They didn't do it lightly. They didn't make a rash decision. So making a rash decision to fire someone is not smart in the NBA. Just ask the Knicks this year with Tom Thibodeau being gone. There you're going to see it with them bringing in Mike Brown. It's not going to be the same field. They're going to be less successful, and everybody's going to be regretting that they fired Thibodeau. Trust me, they're going to regret this shit all year long in New York, that Thibodeau got fired. And, that's why I say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, Raptors fans. Don't be calling for Darko's head. He's got a really good thing he's building here, and you're going to see it start to come to success this year. And you're going to be like, wow, yeah, I love Darko. I love our coach. That's what we're hearing. And like I said, I think he's more likely to win Coach of the Year than actually get fired. And that's what I say right there. Yeah. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying RJ and SGA are close. Don't you think SGA is watching on how we treat RJ? Yeah, but also SGA is kind of he knows the business, obviously. Yeah, I don't think that it's like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, there's been photos that came out in the last week of Shai Gilgeous and Nickel and AJ Lawson working out together. I didn't bring this up, and I should have. This is definitely Raptors news. These guys, these Canadian guys, have been together working out. So AJ, our guy from the Raptors, is with Nickel and Shai, the cousins, and they are working out in the last week. So, the Raptors could screw over AJ Lawson and not put him on the team this year. And that may make him more mad. I don't know. I mean, we can't worry about this kind of shit, Shaq Lindsay. I think that, once again, every individual has their own individual wants. Zachy wants to play for the Raptors at some point in his career. He's going to try to at some point, right? Dylan Brooks has an opportunity to come play for the Raptors. Is he going to worry about his friend Chris Boucher not getting signed this summer and having to go play with the Celtics? No. So I don't think that these are concerns that are real. And I don't think that SGA would just dealing with RJ in any kind of way as something that he should worry about. I don't know. I understand what you're trying to say, because they are friends and they do care about each other. But I don't think we should worry about this. I don't think this is something to worry about. Fiercely saying Star J is right where he belongs. That's right. Our all-star J is going to be an all-star one day. Yeah, exactly where we want him to be. That's right. Milbester saying the Blue Jays wasn't in playoff race. I wouldn't even have bothered mentioning baseball this year. And they've been good all year. I'm someone that doesn't get mad over silly stuff like that. No, listen, it's just that we're a basketball channel. And I mean, we love you, Milbester. Honestly, you're a favorite other fan of other teams. Like, we had Philly fans that were here with us regularly for a while, and they were some of the coolest people, Random Gamer and different people like that. But you've become the number one non-Raptors fan on the Raptor Freak channel. And we have a lot of respect for you for coming and wanting to hang out with us and talk basketball with us. Basketball. That's what we respect and want to talk about. Not necessarily baseball, not necessarily track and field, not necessarily some of the topics that you want to talk about. But we love you, Milbester, and we appreciate you being here. All right? All right, we can do that. It's just there's a certain level. Like, I want to try and do 2-hour shows. And if I talk about the Blue Jays and MLB for 10 minutes, that's okay. But if I'm talking about them for half an hour, there's a problem. There's a problem. That's too much time devoted to another sport, where this is an NBA channel. So let's see. Kaz is saying RJ will be an all-star over Scotty and BI is a wild take to me. I don't think it's impossible, but very unlikely. Well, there is a factor that will help him, and it's the all-star format. In some ways, I don't know, the pool of players internationally to make that third all-star team. There's 2 American teams, and then there's going to be an all-star team for the world. So basically, if we look at it this way, if there's 24 all-stars, which historically there has been, I think there should be 30. But anyway, and then there could be 10 players on each of the 3 all-star teams, because there's 3 all-star teams, which is so goofy and weird. 2 American all-star teams, and then a world team. And if you think about the world players and who are the top 8 or 10 of the world, RJ may be slotting in there near 9 or 10 or even 8 and being one of the top 10 world players, international players in the NBA. I know some people will be like, no, he's not even on the radar, but that's bullshit. And that's why you would have a chance, regardless of Scott and Brandon, is because they have a quota of world players that they have to add to the all-star team. And if RJ is one of the best international players in the league this year as a Canadian playing for the Raptors, he should be strongly considered for all-star on the world all-star team. Because, I mean, we can make the list of all the foreign guys that are possible to make the all-star team, and RJ's going to be somewhere in that mix. He's going to be somewhere in that mix. I agree with you, though, Kaz. I think it's way more likely if we have 2 all-stars, it's going to likely be Scotty first, and then maybe Brandon is an add-on. But that's going to mean we're like one of the top 3 teams in the East, and we have been all year. We may have to be the number 1 team in the East to get 2 all-stars, honestly. We may have to be the number 1 team, or maybe number 2 at the least to get 2 all-stars. Yeah. Yeah, Kaloy's here. Good morning, Lex, fellow freaks. Good morning to you, Carlo JS. And Shaq Lindsay saying, sorry for ranting on RJ. No, you got me talking about what I want to talk about. You have nothing to apologize. I'm with you 100% on your views on it. And I feel like it's valid to bring up, and something that I feel like we need to teach Raptors Nation to be more respectful to RJ in general. Because there's way too many people that are calling themselves Raptors fans that don't respect RJ Barrett properly. And it's pissing me off, honestly. And so you can come and say, we are allowed to be having different opinions than you, Raptor Street. You don't set all the tones and stuff. Motherfucker, have a respect for a hometown hero and the chemistry and the feel of all that. If you don't feel like that's important, if you can't see the intangibles that matter to that, well, I don't know what to tell you. In some ways, it's like, I guess you just don't get it. A lot of team franchises throughout the history of sports have had hometown heroes, guys that grew up being fans of the team that they play for. And there's just a special kind of thing with that. It's a very, very special kind of synergy and feel. And in some ways, RJ Barrett, AJ Lawson, being Raptors fans growing up, they're going all out for the Raptors in a different way than other people. You can see it. If you watch RJ play, you can see how much he's putting it all out there for his city, for his country, for his team. I mean, you can see it. It's undeniable. So I'm not upset with you doing this, man. I'm not upset with you doing this. That's right. Kaloy saying Nardwuar is going to get us SGA. I know. This man is a genius. You're a legend, Nardwuar. You did it so covertly with a Rice Krispies box. This is how you introduce the subject. And I've gotten you this vintage mint Rice Krispies Raptors box from 1994. Oh my gosh. Is the food in it, Nardwuar? Yes. I'm not going to eat it, but wow. Oh my gosh. And then SGA espouses on what the Raptors mean to him. And that was very telling. Once again, that was very, very telling. Very telling. Criscom's here. Good to see the great Criscom, one of our prognosticators for this channel. He's a foresight. He likes to predict. Let's see. What up, Lex? What's your order for our big scoring? I put BI, RJ, then Scotty while flirting with 46 wins if over average health. You know what? That sounds all about right to me. Right there. I mean, they've jumped up our wins to 40 wins in Vegas, but that's still way too low. I know we're going to have a winning record, and I love the idea of 45 plus wins. If we're closer to 50, that'd be fantastic. Maybe we'll get some more lucky breaks this season. Last year we had some bad breaks and we lost some games, and in some ways that benefited us. That maybe we could have gotten that Orlando game that Shed hit that shot. Yeah, that's one of them. But I think that you're right with the hierarchy of scoring here, and Brandon's going to be the number 1 weapon. RJ's going to be number 2. And Scotty, in some ways, is going to just fill in the gaps here and there. So everybody who wants Scotty to be the number 1 guy on our team, it's not going to happen. In fact, he may be the 3rd or even 4th guy behind Emmanuel. And that's because he can contribute and do so much for the team without even having the ball in his hands and trying to score himself. So we'll just have to see how it all goes down. And like you said, key thing is health. Very, very much key. Yeah, Kaz saying people that think Scotty's scoring is either going to stay the same or go down this season are going to be sadly mistaken. Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure. There is a possibility where Scott's scoring could dip a little bit more, and the casual fan will look at it like he's a failure because he's not going up with his own individual stats. Once again, it's a team game. If the team's winning more and Scott's stats go down slightly, that's actually a good thing because what is it we want? We want Scotty to just look good because his stats just always go up, or do we want the Raptors to win games and get another Larry O'Brien? So let's get our priority list right, Raptors Nation. What matters? Does it matter if Scotty scores over 20 points a game, or does it matter if the Raptors get 50 wins this year? That's what you got to figure out in your own head. That's right. That's it. That's it. Kaz is saying, or Carlo is saying, we're going to have 4 players flirting, averaging 20 points per game. Yep, this is something similar that happened a couple years ago where we had about 4 Raptors. All 5 of our starters were averaging over 15 points per game. And that was like when we had Gary, Fred, Pascal, OG. Yeah, around that time, Scotty. That lineup right there. Shaq Lindsay saying Darko is doing a fundamental job in rebuilding the Raptor system from the bottom that Nick Nurse took us to. Yeah. Yeah, he had to restart in a lot of ways. He, at the beginning, took some of the structure that Nick had in the first year he coached with Siakam and Anunoby and those guys still around and tried for a little while. But then it's like I want to build this team in the way that I want to. And Scotty Barnes is a great centerpiece to start around with. And that's what they did. They went in that direction. And, Darko every year has done very interesting stuff building this team up. And I'm telling you right now, his 3rd year is going to be really, really good. He's only coached the team for 2 years now, guys. And yeah, I get it. He won 25 games his first year. He won 30 games his second year. Well, I'm hoping he can get to 50 this year, and we can see if that happens or not. Roger Raymond's here. Thank you, Roger, for being a member of the channel. Good day, Raptor Freaks family. I'm listening while getting ready. It's a great feeling of optimism with the new season for our beloved Toronto Raptors. This is a great time of year because, once again, a lot of NBA fans are like this. They're like, oh, our team could do so good this year. And they're dreaming of that trophy behind right there, Larry O'Brien. And this is possibilities are limitless, unlimited right now. We could, whatever's going to happen, we don't know. We got to see the games happen. And then as the season goes on, reality sinks in more and more for everybody. And they see kind of where they are in the standings. So there's a lot of promise. This is an exciting time of the year because there is a lot of potential in positive ways for the Raptors to be successful this year. And I'm excited about it. I can't wait. This time of year is fun. I do like this time of year. Man, media day next Monday, training camp, Calgary, get ready, and then preseason. We're in it. We're in the thick of it. That's right. Shaq Lindsay said not only the system, but the chemistry. Yeah, that's a key part of Darko's system is the chemistry. In some ways, if you're going to make such a high-passing system of trust and connectivity, you better have that personable chemistry behind the scenes and the team liking each other. And once again, I'm going to say this. Darko has a special ability as a coach that he goes with him wherever he goes. He had it in Memphis, and he really helped the Memphis Grizzlies have their swagger. When Darko left, everything fell apart in Memphis as far as the chemistry and everything. If you realize this, Taylor Jenkins got fired. And, that's part of it is like, Dylan Brooks leaving, Darko leaving. Those are huge detriments to the Grizzlies franchise. And I don't think people totally understand just how much Darko was the factor for the good feelings and vibes in the Grizzlies when he was the assistant coach there. Because when he left, that all came to us. And it's been in our city now. And, he had it in Phoenix when he was there before. He helped cause a lot of good chemistry there and in Oklahoma City also when he coached under Billy Donovan. So this is something like if he's like a video game character in an RPG, he has a special badge that means off the charts chemistry and just people being happy and feeling really connected on the team, whether it's players, coaches, support staff, everybody. He makes that feeling go all the way around the organization. And that's what it is right there. That's a big part of the success. If you're going to be this kind of European offensive passing system, you better have good chemistry. And that's important. That's right. Kaz is saying the gravity Brandon is going to command will make Scott's opportunities become very efficient. I can see him averaging 23 to 24 points this season easy. That'd be great. I'm not against what you're saying. In some ways, I do wish Scott to increase his stats just to shut up some of the people around Raptors Nation. Anybody who was criticizing him last year, saying different things about him, well, in some ways, let's see what he does this year. But once again, I don't gauge Scott on his individual stats. I gauge Scott on whether the team's winning. And that's what matters the most. You're right, too, about the gravity that Brandon's going to draw from defenses around the league to allow openings for Barrett quickly and Barnes and others, Grady and Jacoby and other people. This is so true. Brandon Ingram's going to have to be respected by all the NBA defenses this year. And his presence on the court is going to have a huge impact in helping opportunities for the other guys. This is exactly right. It's exactly right. Fiercely saying, finally, media day. I'm hoping Colin Murray Boyles and Elijah will get to speak finally, as they weren't properly introduced following the draft period. Yeah, some bullshit superseded the draft day interviews between Colin Murray Boyles and Elijah Martin. They should have gotten their day at the podium already, but Keith Pelly felt like hogging the spotlight and ruining everybody's long weekend and telling us that they've let Masai Ujiri go for no damn good reason other than Ed Rogers' his own ego. That's the only reason why they fired that man. You do not let somebody as talented and immensely badass as Masai Ujiri walk for no reason other than you're just a piece of shit billionaire oligarch who just doesn't fucking get it. That this guy was the culture. This guy was the feel of the team. And in some ways it's gone. His legacy lives on. But man, why would you do that? It was so stupid, totally punitive, totally personal, nothing to do with good business sense. Nothing to do with what's good for the Raptors. Just absolutely a personal decision by Ed Rogers III to let Masai go. Absolutely messed up, man. Yeah, and robbing those young men of their rookie press conferences. Yeah, just not classy at all. Not classy at all. Well, we'll finally get to hear from them. Hopefully, it's not always the case that they let the rookies step up and take the mics, but they should. They should to make up for what happened this summer. Maybe you're listening, Raptors admin. You better put them on the docket. Because they didn't get their initial introductory conference, did they? No, they didn't. So you all better get them in there. That's right. Cass said, following that bullshit move. That's right. That's right. Kaloy saying it all hinges on if BI buys into Darko's ball and plays more off ball. All the signs are saying that he is. I mean, he's been with our team for 8 months now, pretty much, right? We got traded to our team in like March or something like that. Well, Brandon is he totally bought in. I'm telling you, he loves structure. He thrives on structure. He's not a selfish guy. In some ways, he's not this kind of player that's just going to be thinking about himself and trying to do everything for himself on the court. No. A lot of the overtures and what he said in interviews already is he's a team player, and he's going to be putting his amount of energy that is required from him on the defensive end to fit in with the team. So I think that Brandon is a good soldier, and he will listen to his general, and he will do the schemes and things because he's smart. He's a basketball junkie. He loves the sport of basketball. And if he's in the lab with a coach like Darko, he's enjoying it. Like, he loves this kind of stuff. In some ways, people don't realize that Brandon loves to pass too. Like, he's a really underrated passer. And they're going to see this year. And they're going to see a facet of Brandon Ingram, much like with RJ Barrett, that they didn't realize that he has going on. Because in some ways, Darko's going to demand a more all-around game from Ingram. And he's going to have to do not just scoring. He's going to have to rebound. He's going to have to block shots sometimes. He's going to have to pass to his teammates. And he's going to have to play defense. And he will. He's bought in. He's bought in. And he's had these months, like I said, to really learn everything and understand what Darko expects. And he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Watch. He's going to do it. James saying, I think 2 of our guys average above 20 points per game. Could be 2. I think that's likely. I think it will be at least 2. It will be at least 2. It could be other guys. But then again, you don't want 60 points of your scoring to come from just 3 guys on your team. It's probably not good. Shaq Lindsay saying we have to listen to. Oh, he just took it away. I was in the middle of it, but he took it away. All right, let me go into my tabs then real quick. Straight goods on Canadian goods, guys. Today I'm going to put a spotlight on Harvey's. You know, Harvey's is a fast food chain here in Canada. If you're still going to McDonald's, why the are you doing that? Seriously, McDonald's is a huge mega corporation around the world that's American. And we are not dealing with America if you're trying to be a good Canadian right now. And like, don't just go to McDonald's because you've always have. Fuck that. Go to Harvey's. Go to another chain. Go to A&W. Seriously, there are Canadian alternatives for fast food if you really want a burger. And honestly, is McDonald's really that great that you need to show brand loyalty to McDonald's? No, go to Harvey's. I'm telling you right now, Harvey's may not be what it used to be. Neither is Swiss Chalet. A lot of these companies have gone downhill, Tim Hortons, but it is still Canadian owned. It is still 100% Canadian beef and chicken, and it has a large Canadian footprint. And you want to support Canadian industry, Harvey's over McDonald's all day long. And A&W too. If you want A&W, that is Canadian also. So there's your straight goods on Canadian goods right there. Let's see what Raptors Reddit's talking about this morning. They're asking, could Kuminga come to Toronto? I don't like that. Let's say bad fit and he wants to get paid. Yeah, that's the right answer right there. I like what that guy said. Pass. There's another good answer. No, he doesn't. Laugh out loud. And let's see why Scotty and Kuminga's skill sets overlap each other. He's not like Scotty. The Warriors wanted to trade him to Toronto for Siakam a few years ago. But Masai and Bobby said no thanks. That's right. That's funny, man. This guy here saying my skill set overlaps the same proportion of Kuminga's as Kuminga's overlaps Scotty's. That's hilarious. I'm giving that guy an upvote. Masai and Bobby are similarly wise not to employ me, even as a G League cannon fodder. Hilarious. Maybe that guy was at the G League tryouts for Raptors 905 this weekend. I don't know. Yeah, somebody has even wrote here, what skill set does Kuminga have? Wow, they're burning him like crazy on here. Yeah, I like the consensus. Raptors Nation, for the most part, coming in and just saying, this is ridiculous. We're not with this. We're not with this. I mean, the guy acts like this. It doesn't help the way it looks. And like you're selling around the league. Seriously. And it may not totally be his fault, but in some ways it is partly his fault. They got the Ulrich Shamshay picture with Serge Ibaka on Raptors Reddit. And the fans are saying shit like this, that he needs to join the coaching staff. Yeah. If Serge Ibaka wants to be an assistant coach on the Raptors, if Darko wants to make that happen, that'd be fantastic. Even if he's just a special consultant. He doesn't travel with the team. Maybe he just comes through like Tim Duncan does for the Spurs. We'd be all about that, Serge. Please come down here and be a big man coach in the OVO. Please. Yeah, I love this. People are saying they love this. I said months ago that the Raps should put him with Serge and get some work in. And there you go. You got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. Basketball Reference lists them both as 235 pounds and Ibaka being an inch taller than Shamshay. This photo makes me think Ibaka's probably got a good 20 pounds on Shamshay, though. Yeah, Ibaka also, he's a more older, mature man. His body's filled out. We've got to remember, Shamshay's only 20 years old. And, Shamshay in the next 2 or 3 years could fill out thick-wise. And he may even grow another inch so that he's the same height as Serge. So, yeah, Ulrich is still growing. We got to understand that and give that to him. So there's your Raptors Reddit reactions for today. Good stuff, man. Yeah, they're talking about Nardwuar on there, too. Good stuff, man. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's do. Let me see. Do you guys have any more comments in here? Let's see. Blackhawk saying, "Don't go to." Okay, hang on. There's more. I skipped. Okay, Kaloy saying, "I want to see a big leap from IQ. We need to see more of him this year." A lot of people are saying that that's the person we need to make a big show up, and that'll really push us up. And I believe this is true. I think that if IQ has a big jump this year, then he can be very steady and healthy. This season, it can really bolster the Raptors in the standings in the Eastern Conference. So I'm totally with everybody. IQ is a huge X factor for us this year. And I want him to flourish. I want him to absolutely flourish, and I want him to be as healthy as possible this whole entire year. That'd be amazing. Kaz wants that classic card. Yeah, we're going to put that up soon. And Fiercey saying hard pass on Kuminga. I'm with you on that. Blackhawk saying, don't go to the Harveys at Aaron Mills by Meadowvale. You can't pour your drink there. What? What? You can't pour your drink there. You mean they don't have the soda machines on the outside? You have to go back to the counter and say, give me a refill. It may be because people are abusing the soda fountain when they were coming in and doing stupid shit like making the ice all run out or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they lost their soda jerk privileges because they were being a jerk when they were trying to get the soda. I don't know, but that's a weird reason to boycott that Harvey's. Is they won't let me fill up my own drink. Well, just go to the counter; they'll fill it up for you. I'm just saying. The Harvey's by Queen East, the Brownlee is good. Yeah, I mean, the Harvey's that I used to go to all the time that I remember that I cared about was up on it was at Cummer and Leslie or something like that. It was up near my grandmother's house in North York and Willowdale. There was an old classic Harvey's place there. And one of the traditions my parents have when they come to Canada to visit from the States, when they come across the border, they like to eat at Harvey's. Then they've been doing that for years, for a long, long time. It's just kind of like a symbol of being back in the homeland in Canada. So they like to go find a Harvey's somewhere near the border. Shaq Lindsay saying, we have to listen to what Darko said about Scotty's game. He's an all-round player and put up the triple doubles every night. So no, he's not going to be our number 1 or 2 scorer. The job is for scorers. Yeah. I mean, I'd be very happy if Scotty got a triple double and he's got 12 points. I mean, that is a good stat line. I'm sorry. Just because he doesn't get 20 points doesn't mean he had a bad game. He could have 12 points, 10 assists, and 12 rebounds, and he could have 3 blocks and a couple steals too. And that's a phenomenal game because it's probably likely he played really good defense and he probably got his teammates involved and connected because he got 10 assists. So that's what I'm saying. Success is not what you think, all you guys in Raptors Nation. Some of y'all that think the success is purely points per game and 3-point shots. No, 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 no. No. Sometimes rebounding is a more important stat. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes rebounding is more important. That's right. That's right. As Shaq Lindsay saying, like RJ, IQ, BI, yeah. Yeah, I mean, those guys could factor in more on certain nights, but don't get it twisted. If Scott wants to go one night and he's feeling it and Darko's going to call his number, Scotty can be the number 1 option on certain nights. There's no rules to this. That's why do you want to make rules, Raptors Nation, about how the Raptors are supposed to play and who's supposed to produce what? There's no rules to this. Let's go by feel. Let's go by that night, and let's go by what happens. And then we'll see. This is Brandon's night. This is RJ's night. This is IQ's night. This is Scotty's night. We'll just have to see. That's going to be part of the fun of every game that we get to watch this year for the Raptors, is just seeing how it all develops with the production and who's taking which slice of the pie tonight. This night, IQ's got this really good matchup. He's going up against this guy. He's slower than him. And in some ways, the guy can't stop him in any kind of way. Go to IQ. Go to IQ. Go to IQ. It's that kind of stuff. That's right. It's that kind of stuff. That's right. Let's see. Kaloy saying, I can see Shed growing so much to grab the lead guard role from IQ. Shed just has it all together mentally, and it's a matter of time till he shoots consistently. I'm not going to disagree with him. I don't necessarily want this to happen, but I do. It's a weird thing. I mean, I could say this. Emmanuel, you said earlier RJ was the throw-in in that deal, but in some ways it was Emmanuel if we're really talking about it. Emmanuel is a great piece to have on our team, and he has a lot of ability to grow here to another level as a starter. But let's not get it twisted. He's also a really good trade piece just in case if things change or something like that. And having a backup like Shed coming up for insurance and possibilities in the future, this is true. This is true. A lot of people may be already thinking about this. Like on the download, Bobby Webster may be thinking on the download that maybe Shed is going to be the heir apparent. And that, we like having Quickly for while we have him. But at some point, things could shift around. And, what he's saying here could be very true. So we'll just have to see. It's an interesting point. But in some ways, I covet having Emmanuel. I like Emmanuel Quickly a lot. I want him to be a Raptor for as long as possible. But it's nice to have peace of mind knowing that Shed is a young player in the second year coming in that could possibly develop into a full starting point guard in the league. He's smart enough to figure it out. And honestly, he's more athletic than Fred or Kyle. So if he has a really good shot to be a starting point guard in the NBA, Jamal Shed. He really does. Really, really does. Shaq Lindsay saying Scotty and Jacoby are going to be the anchor on defense and offense. That's interesting. I think that in some ways Scotty is an anchor on defense, but I think Jakob too. He's a very important anchor on defense. And I mean, on the outside, I really group all those guys together as kind of a band of thieves on stealing whether it's Shed, whether it's Chucky, whether it's Elijah, whether it's Jacoby or Grady or Oshai. They're all kind of like doing this similar kind of like work at midcourt and the defense at transition. So let's see. Milbester's saying, how is Arby's? Arby's is American. So no, we don't have Arby's up here, really. I don't know if there's very many Arby's restaurants in Canada. I don't think there are. I ate a lot of Arby's when I was in Florida, when I lived down there. But yeah, I'm not even trying to remember, where's an Arby's in Toronto? I don't think there is an Arby's in Toronto. They may not be up here, but that's definitely an American chain. Yeah. And I'm not spending any money on American companies as much as possible right now. Nope, not at all. This is what's happening right now. And well, elbows up. That's just how it goes. And that's the thing. He thinks he's messing around. I'm the crazy kind of person that I will do this for the rest of my life now. That I'll turn my back completely on all American industries as much as possible for the rest of my life. And Canadian industry will benefit for this. I'm that stubborn and I'm that petty. And, you want to do this kind of junk. You want to mess with the relationship between the United States and Canada, Donald Trump. You can get what you get. You get an old guy like Lex, who's never, ever going to spend money on American products as much as possible for the rest of his life. It's just how it is. Neil saying, always sample the drink before you fill your cup because the drink may not be good. This is all right. You're getting into a wheelhouse of expertise that I have. I used to run the pizza stand behind the Cinesphere at Ontario Place. And, we have the soda machines, the hoses that come up in the boxes with the bags with the syrup. And it's always funny because like those bags will run out of syrup at certain times and there'd be like a gross tasting soda. And the kid would get a Coke and it'd be almost white and there would be hardly any brown in it and be like, oh, this doesn't taste right. Oh, we got to change the bag. And then you got to go lift one of these huge box of soda syrup and carry it around and put it down where the thing is and switch them all out, unscrew it and screw the other one on. Yeah, there's a whole art to it. And sometimes it was a really busy summer day out at Ontario Place. You had to do it quick. Like you had to do it because people were waiting in line. You're like, oh, you got to do this quick. And it's kind of like a little task, like an Amazing Race challenge or something like that. Get the soda box changed as quick as possible. Dun, 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 dun. You're like, Timmy wants a Sprite. Get the Sprite back in there, Lex. Damn it. Yeah, that's what that is, Neil, is the box is out of syrup and you need to get the employee to change the box. That's right. You don't eat Arby's often? My daughter eats at Arby's a good amount. There's a good Arby's in Erie, Pennsylvania. Yeah. Sometimes I would drive into the States, which is not going to happen anytime soon. I would go through Erie, Pennsylvania, and there's a particular Arby's in Erie. It's absolutely fantastic. It's very good. And like they did a good job, you got to ring the bell on the way out the door. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, thank you. You liked our roast beef. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of stuff. Curly fries. Yeah. G's saying off topic, but has to do with Canada. And it's a defining moment. Women's rugby team beat the defending champs, New Zealand, whom apparently haven't lost the World Cup since 2014, advanced to the finals. That's awesome. That's fantastic. I love that. This is a great add-on, G. Thanks for bringing up this tidbit of knowledge about the rugby team, the women's rugby team defeating New Zealand. This sounds huge. Amazing. All right, you're getting a dunk. 54. You got the Patrick Patterson. Patrick Patterson dunks for G right there. Shaq Lindsay saying, I broke my kid's heart. Yesterday, canceled my Disney Plus subscription. Yeah, they're feeling it, man. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel getting fired is really not been good business for Disney and ABC and ESPN and everything. Hulu, everybody's canceling their Hulu. Yeah, you'll find out real quick. Being totalitarian, fascist, cock-sucking, boot-licking companies like Disney, Pixar, ABC has been, you feel the ramifications from the people. And you get what you get, is what I say on that. Yeah, I commend you, Shaq Lindsay. I commend you. In some ways, your kids need to understand that, some things are more important than the Mandalorian and Star Wars shows. Kaloy said, I covet IQ too. But I think the media has it wrong. Just because we signed RQ for a long, it doesn't mean that RJ is the one that goes. This could be him if being the lead guard doesn't work out. I think that once again, Bobby Webster's MO is flexibility. And in some ways, he could do whatever he wants, depending on how things develop. If Shed just goes crazy good, not last year it was Davion Mitchell was not necessary anymore, and he could be let go because Shed improved so much. So we'll just have to see how things develop, and Bobby's going to be analyzing it and being astute, and he'll make the decisions on the personnel as we go through time. We can't get ahead of ourselves and premeditate anything, because a lot of the decisions Bobby's going to make are be determined on what happens on the court. And, I'd love to have IQ here as long as possible, seriously, because he's a fantastic player. And I honestly liked IQ on New York way before he came to our team. And when he came here, I was like really delighted, really, really delighted. And we want him to be a Raptor for a long time. We really do. Neil's saying, in order for Shamshay to get a full roster spot next year, someone will get traded or Temple will not be renewed for 2027 season. Shamshay has a spot already. There's not an issue with this. He's a two-way, sure. But, two-way is a full roster spot. In fact, a two-way is special than a full roster spot. A two-way means he's got two spots on both teams. And he gets to play for both of them. He does have a limited amount of Raptors games he can play in Toronto. But, I mean, he has a regular spot. He's not in any kind of weird, dubious position. He is a full-fledged Raptor. And we don't have to do anything. He's already in there. That's right. Arby's is probably still in Hamilton, but they were in Brampton. Yeah, I just don't remember eating a lot of Arby's around GTA at all. Really don't remember it at all. All right, let me wrap up the stream. I'm 15 minutes over a little bit. We have a birthday today. Happy birthday to Gary Trent Sr., guys. It's Gary Trent Sr.'s birthday today. He is 51 as of today on the first day of fall. Happy birthday, Big Gary, the Shack of the Mac. Gary Trent Sr. was so awesome to be around our team as a legacy of his son coming to play for our team also. This is a beautiful story in Raptors history, the Trents. So respect to Gary Trent Sr. on his birthday and Gary Trent Jr. this season coming up for you. That's right. All right, let me see. What else? Guys, once again, we have the Yahoo Fantasy League. It's going on. If you want to play, there's a link in our Discord and on Facebook that you can use to go through the portal to put a team in the league. And we're looking to have 16 teams, and I think we have like 13 right now. So if you want one of the last spots, jump on it now so you can join our Yahoo Fantasy League. That's right. Blackhawk saying, rewatch the Battlestar Galactica reboot. I know. I'm not watching any kind of media for the most part right now. And Fiercely saying, I'm still traumatized with Gary Trent Sr. showing off that spa weird video. Oh, yeah, when he was in the sauna. Yeah, there was some. Yeah, Gary Trent Sr., he had no filter. And his Instagram was very interesting. Yeah, we took a vote, remember? And we were like, are we going to still follow Gary Trent Sr. now that Junior's not on the Raptors? And you're like, no. You guys didn't want me to follow him anymore on Instagram stories. So I didn't have to talk about his crazy parking style anymore. Yeah, Gary Trent Sr. is a notorious like quadruple parker. He will park on 4 spots at the mall, and people hate him for it. They really do. They really, really do. Wayne's saying, we tend to always be fixated with having one above player for positions. Nothing wrong with having quality in multiples. Stop wanting to trade. Yeah. Some of that energy it's very rooted in the Vince Carter stuff that happened in 2000. It's like, oh, Tracy can't be on the same team as Vince. They've got to be separated. That was always bullshit. And that's still a trope that people will try and use on teams where they feel like they may be getting too talented. Oh, they can't have all these players. They must trade some of them. And that's a little bit of the energy around the Raptors right now when they look at our team on paper. Oh, they can't have possibly all these players on their team. They better trade RJ. And that's kind of where this shit comes from, honestly. That's kind of where it comes from. I love you, Wayne, for saying it this way. And you're right. These people need to just stop wanting to talk trades all the time. Blackhawk saying Shamshay two-way is good for 2026, but Raptors front office will have to make a decision on him post-2027. I mean, that's a long time from now. And sure, I'm sure they will. I'm not worried about any of this. We've got an investment in Shamshay. And, as long as there's not any weird medical mysteries like Koloko, I don't see any issues with Shamshay. I think that we're going to be fine. He's got a path. He's going to get on the team, and everything's going to work out really well. He's very promising. I think he's going to come through with his part as far as what he's supposed to do as a young player to develop and get better and better. He's very smart, and he's showing some skills that I had no idea he has in certain passing ways and stuff. So I think this will all work out fine, Neil. I understand you're worried about it, but I don't think you should be. James is laughing. G saying, League Alerts just put out a post. Curry was voted the best American player according to a survey of 20 coaches, scouts, and executives. There you go. I was right. I actually said that. I was like, it's between LeBron, Durant, and Steph. But the executives actually voted Steph Curry as the best American player in the league right now. Well, in some ways, he could have been the face of the league, and in some ways, he has been. But LeBron overshadows him in a lot of ways. It's really LeBron's overshadowed everybody from his era. But you know what? Steph Curry would have been a fantastic. He's been kind of the face of the league on the down low, though, in some ways, if you think about it. I mean, the people give so much credit to Steph Curry for changing the league and to being what it is. And that's absolutely true. The 3-point shooting league it is right now. So I guess he has been a face of the league on the down low because he is in a lot of the advertising and he is a spokesperson that's well-spoken and he has been out there. Yeah, I could see that. Let's see. Fiercely saying BI had that blood clot issue and now he's fine. Is Wemby coming back this season? I don't remember Brandon Ingram having a blood clot issue. I don't think that's right. He had an ankle issue. The issue with Brandon is the ankle issue. There were other players that had blood clot issues. Wemby, Koloko, one of the Thompson twins. But I don't remember Brandon having a blood clot issue, unless that was way earlier in his career, because the issue that Brandon's had this past year is all centered around his ankle. Yeah, Fiercely saying, many kids refer to Curry as an amazing shooter, but I don't know what LeBron is renowned for. No shade. LeBron is renowned for a long, long career, being a very unstoppable force. And, you know, in some ways, look, we got to remember, we may have short memories because we don't want to remember LeBronto and being like the most dominant player in the Eastern Conference in the 2010s. I mean, there's a lot there with LeBron's resume that is really good, seriously. But when people start talking about him the GOAT over Michael, I can't go there with them. Yeah. Yes, it was early in his career, the issue with Brandon. Well, hopefully it's all cleared up. He's nowhere near any of that kind of stuff. Because I ain't trying to hear no more Rich Paul blood clot issues. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to hear that. All right, let's do the classic card of the day. We're at that point, and hopefully we'll get done right around 2.5 hours. Let's see. Boom goes the diner. It's 9:22. And yeah, we got 9 minutes before it's 9:30 or 11:30. Oh, wow. Yeah, we'll do this card. Hilarious. This one's funny. All right, y'all. Full name answer. Answer right away, please. This is the classic card of the day. Maybe too easy. Can you see who that is? It's kind of interesting. Yeah. Who is the classic card of the day? Full name answer. Don't give me half the name. That's right, Fiercey. It is JJ Redick. Look at JJ Redick in the Dallas jersey. He played for Dallas? Luka, Lakers. Something fishy there. Nico Harrison. Oh, yeah, there's JJ. Let's see what it says about JJ. One of the best coaches in the NBA. Wait, no, that's not what it said on there. Podcaster turned coach, JJ Redick. That's right. So Fiercey will get the points. And I don't know, 50 points maybe. I don't know, something like that. What do you guys think? JJ Redick, 50 points or 100? You guys can tell me right now. Let's see. Chris Gum saying, keep up the great work, broski. Another question. Who do you have as the best bench scorer on the roster? For the Raptors right now? It's tough, man. I think it's Grady just because he's got a year more than the rookies from last year. I think it's between him and Jacoby. But I think it's Grady. And it's really his overwhelming, badass three-point shot. And, you know, the diversity in the way he scores. He's a hustler. He can get to the basket and drive sometimes too. So I think it's Grady. I think Grady is our classic three-point shooting six-man coming off the bench this year. Instant offense. If we're, needing three-point shooting to spread the floor, he's a great option to bring in off the bench first. Now, Jacoby Walter could make a leap this year, and be very consistent in every game that he comes out, where we can depend on him to get double digits off the bench. Maybe he's a little bit like a Ben Mathurin for us this year. That could change things. Like if Jacoby Walter grows into more like Benedict, which is very possible, guys, he could take over as being the best scorer off the bench for the Raptors. But those are the two I think are in the running right there. Those are the two right there. Yeah. Yeah. Blackhawk saying BI did have blood clot issues years ago. He had it after Aldridge had it. He is the first to overcome it as well in the last 10 years. Okay. That's good information. So he did have a blood clot issue, but it was way earlier in his career. I wasn't paying attention then. It was probably when he was on the Lakers or something. Okay. This is good info. Good info right there. That's right. Fiercely saying JJ should do hair advertisements. Always crisp cut. You want 100 points. All right. So nobody said anything. We're going to give her 100 points. She named her own price today. And that's fine. I like that. I like that. Fiercely's been such a great Raptor freak for so long. I'll let her name her price today. My classic card naming was worth 100 today, Lex. All right. We'll do that. We'll do that. If Logical's going to get 100 for Lou Dort the other day, we'll give you 100 for JJ Redick today. That's right. All right, let me finish up. I guess I'm done. I got through all my tabs and we did what we were going to do. Today we're reacting to Nardwuar versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. A fantastic YouTube clip. Highly recommended to everybody. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Understand Shai better. Understand his vibes, his aura better. And if you're not familiar with Nardwuar, well, this is a pretty good first clip to watch to see what he's all about. He is a true Canadian legend himself. And I love when legends collide and get together like this. And I feel like from what it sounded like, SGA is going to do another Nardwuar with him at some point. Some people just have a natural chemistry with Nardwuar, so they repeatedly do his show. Snoop Dogg is one of them. Tyler, the Creator, is another person that has been on Nardwuar so many times because they just have a really cool dynamic when they're together. And I feel like SGA is in that category with those guys. And hopefully this trend of Nardwuar, the human serviette, interviewing NBA players will continue, especially Canadian NBA players, because in some ways that's where he can make the stretch to say, all right, SGA's here because he's Canadian and I'm in Canada, in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And, maybe RJ, maybe Zach Edey, maybe Shaedon Sharpe. These people may be needing to be interviewed. What would it be if it was Nardwuar versus Dylan Brooks? What would that be? Oh my gosh, what would that be if there was Nardwuar versus Dylan Brooks? Ooh, that would be a good one. I know that would be a good one. But yeah, Nardwuar versus Zach Edey, that would be fun. So seriously, Nardwuar, consider doing more Canadian NBA players. With your serious, I would love to see RJ Barrett get interviewed by you. It would be so cool. So yeah, that's what I'm saying right there. You want 1,000? Boy, you're being greedy there. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. That's crazy. You want 1,000? Oh my gosh. One day SGA will be a Raptor. W stream Lexington. Yeah, it seems like he's open to it. At least that's what I took from that Nardwuar versus SGA. So y'all, thanks for watching the Raptor Freak channel today. I'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday trivia. I'll figure out what the subject is, and I'll have your questions for you tomorrow. You can earn some trivia points and get your name on the trivia trophy right there, like Amit the Goat, and G, and David Saborin, and Smooth Brown Man. So yeah, you want to be Raptors Freak trivia champion, you got to come and play the trivia game. Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia. I'll be there with the questions. Hopefully you'll be there too. All right, y'all, have a great week. Touch grass. It's the first day of fall. Enjoy yourselves today, and let's go Raptors. Believe in the Raptors. Believe in Darko. Believe in Bobby Webster. Believe in Teresa Resch and the Toronto Tempo. Believe in SGA and Nardwuar. Believe in RJ Barrett. That's right. Believe in our Raptors. Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, Brandon Ingram, Jakob Poeltl. That's right. Oshai Abaji, Grady Dick, Jonathan Mobo, Jamison Battle, Jogi Kobe Walter, Elijah Martin, Chucky Hepburn, Colin Murray Bowles, Ulrich Shumshay. Believe in them all because we got a good thing going here in Toronto, and we're going to show the NBA that this season. That's right. Where are my glasses? That's That's right. All right, y'all. Have a good day. I'm just going to chill over here because my future's looking bright. That's right. Let's go, Raptors. Nardwuar.